Chapter 1501. The golden sword radiance and the silver lightning intertwined. Lin Tian attacked, enveloping the 5 true immortal realm experts in it, attacking them indiscriminately. The 5 true immortals naturally felt the power of this attack, especially that silver lightning, which made them feel a sense of threat. However, when Lin Tian attacked the 5 of them at the same time by himself, their gazes turned very cold. They felt that Lin Tian was truly too arrogant. "Junior!" the purple-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty said coldly. He took a step forward, and the shadow of a beast appeared behind him. It was formed by intertwining divine power, and its aura was terrifying. At the same time, the other 4 true immortals did not show any mercy. Each of them used their powerful mystiques to attack. The dense killing lights were all aimed at Lin Tian. Whether it was to obtain the 1,000 illusions sacred orchid or Lin Tian's immortal emperor pagoda, they wanted to kill Lin Tian. And they had to be fast. Boom! The space shook, and all kinds of killing lights intertwined. The void cracked inch by inch, and the ground collapsed. Lin Tian fought against the 5 true immortals. The High Heaven Sword scripture and the Xian Luo immortal sword were used to the limit of his cultivation. The 5 heavenly thunders technique caused the sky to be filled with lightning, and surrounded every inch of the void. It attacked the 5 true immortals like the light of a heavenly tribulation. Moreover, at the same time, he once again supported the 4 symbol sealed divine technique, supported the divination divine technique, and even operated the dragon burial scripture. Strand after strand of dragon patterns interweaved, transforming into seemingly real divine dragons that illuminated the heavens. The reason why he was able to use so many divine abilities and secret techniques was because he was facing 5 experts alone. Even though the Transcendence Divine Pill and the power of faith had forcibly increased his battle prowess by many times, and even though he appeared to be very strong on the surface, in reality, he was under a lot of pressure. After all, those were 5 genuine true immortal experts. Roar! The dragon's roar resounded in all directions. The sky was filled with dragon runes that formed a true dragon. The dragon's roar shook the sky, and the divine dragon swung its tail. The dragon's aura was extremely shocking. Immediately, rumbling sounds rang out, all types of divine light crisscrossing. Several of the great mountains in this place collapsed. In the faraway Huaitree forest, Wishing Crocodile and Little Taishu watched Lin Tian's battle with flickering eyes. That kind of power of faith is indeed extraordinary. No wonder that brat wanted little Yitong to preach to the world. He actually managed to increase his strength by so much after taking the Transcendence Divine Pill, which increased his battle prowess tenfold. He actually managed to block 5 true immortals all by himself. This is simply... Wishing Crocodile was shocked. Little Taichu was also looking into the distance, looking very serious. At the same time, he also seemed a little surprised. At this place, a group of villagers stood by the heavily injured Snow Wolf and looked at Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu. That man, where did he go? Can you see anything? Someone asked. These villagers were just ordinary people with limited eyesight. Naturally, they could not see the scene of Lin Tian's battle with the 5 true immortal realm experts. From tens of thousands of feet away. Wishing Crocodile nodded slightly. Then, he used his demonic power to display the scene of the battle in the distance to the villagers in the form of a divine imprint. Seeing this scene, the villagers were all shocked. They had never seen Wishing Crocodile use such a method before. They did not expect him to be able to inexplicably show such a scene. However, in the blink of an eye, these people's surprise did not last long. After all, they had seen too many shocking things on this day. At this time, they stood by Snow Wolf and stared at the scene of Lin Tian's battle with the 5 true immortals shown by Wishing Crocodile. Then, their eyes flickered. This was because the battle between Lin Tian and the 5 true immortals was simply destructive. They saw Lin Tian and the 5 true immortals flying in the sky and burrowing into the ground. As they fought, all kinds of divine light flashed and shattered mountains. Moreover, cracks appeared in the air. This scene was really shocking to them. After all, for these ordinary people, The scene of divine light filling the sky and shattering the earth was too terrifying. However, in the next moment, the horror on the villagers' faces disappeared and was replaced by anger. "Little brother! Defeat them!" Someone shouted loudly as he looked at the divine imprint shown by Wishing Crocodile. They were guarding the blood-stained snow wolf. They knew that this snow wolf, who had a close relationship with their village, was injured by the 5 true immortals. They knew that the 5 true immortals wanted to seize the divine orchid that the snow wolf guarded for the witch. They knew that the witch's resting place was destroyed by the 5 true immortals. Everyone was filled with anger towards the 5 true immortals. Because of this sincere anger, even though these people could tell that the 5 true immortals were not ordinary people and were all very terrifying people, they did not feel much fear at this time. The anger in their hearts was much stronger than the fear in their hearts. The snow wolf's entire body was covered in blood. At this time, its life force was still constantly fading away. Its demonic eyes had dimmed a lot. Its gaze moved away from the witch's tombstone and looked at the image shown by Wishing Crocodile here. Its eyes could not help but flicker. A human who it did not know would actually go to such lengths for it. A human who had not even reached the true immortal realm was resisting 5 true immortals just to prevent them from seizing the 1,000 illusion divine orchid that it had brought here for the witch. Wishing Crocodile looked at the snow wolf. Looking at the other party's eyes, it naturally knew what the other party was thinking at this time. It said, "When we were here, we heard the remnants of the zither music left behind by the witch. We all benefited a lot from it. We also learned some things about the witch and you. That witch is worthy of respect, and what you have done for her is even more touching." As it spoke, it looked at Lin Tian, who was fighting 10,000 feet away. It said, "For that witch, and even more so for what you have done for her, that guy feels that he has a reason to fight. He is such a man who is loyal to his feelings," it said. Hearing this, the snow wolf looked at the image of Lin Tian and the image shown by Wishing Crocodile's divine sense. Its dim eyes flickered even more. It was only because it had relied on itself to hear the sound of the witch who had saved it playing the zither in this place. It was only because it had been touched by what it had done for the witch that it fought against 5 true immortals at the same time with its cultivation level below the true immortal realm, and prevented them from seizing the 1,000 illusion divine orchid. In today's cruel cultivation world, there were still people like this. Boom! 10,000 feet away, divine light trembled. All kinds of killing lights intertwined. The sky and the void were shaken to the point that they collapsed inch by inch. The 5 true immortals' auras were chaotic, and their bodies were stained with blood. Under Lin Tian's powerful attacks, they had all suffered some injuries. At the same time, even though Lin Tian's combat strength had been forcibly increased by many times with the help of the divine elixir and the power of faith, it was naturally impossible for him to be unscathed when fighting against 5 true immortals at the same time. At this moment, there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He had suffered some injuries. However, his expression did not change. The Xian Luo celestial sword intertwined with dazzling sword lights, and the sword momentum was extremely sharp. Clang! The sword clanged. He waved the Xian Luo celestial sword and slashed at the 5 true immortals. A large area of the void was shattered at the same time. The 5 true immortals' divine sense rolled outside their bodies as they kept attacking Lin Tian. However, they were gradually more and more surprised. They found that Lin Tian's combat strength increased by the white light was really amazing. Even if they worked together, they still could not kill him in a short time. Although the combat strength increased by external objects is very strong, there is still a time limit. Let's ignore him for now and seize the 1,000 illusion divine orchid. If we delay any longer, the 1,000 illusion divine orchid will wither. The purple-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty said to the blue-robed and golden-robed true immortals of his lineage. The blue-robed and golden-robed true immortals heard this and nodded. You guys hold him back. I'll go get the 1,000 illusion divine orchid, the blue-robed true immortal said. With that, he used a special movement technique to retreat from the battlefield. He stopped attacking Lin Tian and rushed toward the White Tree Forest. When the black-armored rogue true immortal and the brown-haired rogue true immortal saw this, their eyes narrowed. Then, they gave up on Lin Tian and rushed toward the Huai Tree Forest. Naturally, they could not just stand by and watch the blue-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty take the thousand-illusioned divine orchid. This was because there was no one there who could stop the blue-robed true immortal. As long as the blue-robed true immortal rushed there, the thousand-illusioned divine orchid would definitely fall into his hands. Of course, they were not willing to let this happen. As for the immortal Emperor Pagoda on Lin Tian, they were more interested in it. However, at this time, the immortal Emperor Pagoda would not disappear with the passage of time. Moreover, the purple-robed and golden-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty would not be able to suppress Lin Tian and take the immortal Emperor Pagoda in a short time. Moreover, the two of them could hold Lin Tian back during this process. They did not have to worry about Lin Tian escaping and not being able to get the immortal Emperor Pagoda. Therefore, after considering the situation from all sides, the most suitable choice at this time was to fight with the blue-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty for the thousand-illusioned divine orchid. Whoosh! 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 The sound of the air being torn apart reverberated. The three of them were very fast, like three human-shaped lightning bolts, rushing toward the Huai Tree Forest. Lin Tian looked at the three of them coldly. Silver lightning crackled around his body as he used the 5 heaven-shaking thunderbolts incantation and the duality steps. In an instant, he crossed an endless distance and blocked all three of them. Then, he directly slashed at them with his sword. Clang! He infused the power of the 5 heaven-shaking thunderbolts incantation into this sword. It was like a killing sword condensed from the heavenly tribulation lightning punishment, causing the three true immortals to turn pale at the same time. They quickly retreated to avoid this fierce killing sword. No one can touch the thousand-illusioned divine orchid. He held the Xian Luo immortal sword and pointed it at everyone. The cold sword radiance was endlessly swallowing. The true immortals' eyes were cold. They looked at Lin Tian with eyes full of coldness and killing intent. The blue-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty glanced at the thousand-illusioned divine orchid in the distance, then looked at Lin Tian and said coldly, "There's not much time left. Since he wants to stop us, then kill him as soon as possible. Don't let the thousand-illusioned divine orchid be destroyed." As soon as he finished speaking, there was a boom. Divine light surged around his body and a sea of fire appeared behind him. Dense and stable waves of the immortal path spread out mightily, as if they could burn everything in the world. The aura was terrifying. Chapter 1502. The waves of the immortal Tao surged. Behind the blue-robed true immortal of the Wanwei dynasty, a sea of fire appeared. It was scorching hot, and the temperature was terrifyingly high. Every wisp of flame seemed to be able to incinerate everything, causing the void to sizzle. The immortal Tao of Oblivion! Lin Tian's eyes glinted as he looked at the roiling flames behind the true immortal. There were many Taos in the world, and they were divided into the Great Tao, Immortal Tao, Divine Tao, and Eternal Divine Tao. The flames behind the blue-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty intertwined with strong waves of Immortal Tao. The Immortal Tao was one of the strongest techniques of true immortal cultivators. Facing this kind of flame, he felt his skin become a little hot. "All right, let's kill him quickly!" The other two true immortals of the Manwei dynasty spoke, each supporting the Immortal Tao. One of them conjured a sky full of divine trees, while the other conjured dense water droplets around him. Each divine tree and each water droplet exuded a terrifying aura. The Immortal Tao of wood and the Immortal Tao of muddy water. Lin Tian's eyes glinted. Among the 3,000 great Taos, a large portion of the great Taos were, in fact, just a small portion of the Tao power of the Immortal Tao and the Divine Tao. For example, the great Tao of Yin-Yang, the great Tao of Tai-Yin, the great Tao of Yang, and the great Tao of metal, wood, water, fire, earth. They were, respectively, a very small portion of the Tao power of the Yin-Yang Divine Tao, the great Tao of Yang, the great Tao of metal, wood, water, fire, earth. He learned about this from ancient texts when he first ascended to the stars. At this time, the three true immortals of Wanwei dynasty summoned the immortal Tao of fire, wood, and water that corresponded to the great Tao of fire, wood, and water respectively. Their Tao power was even sharper than the great Tao of fire, wood, and water respectively. Boom! Boom! In the other two places, the brown-haired true immortal and the black-armored true immortal also conjured immortal Das, the immortal Tao of dreams and the immortal Tao of thorns. Among them, the illusory dream immortal Tao could weaken the enemy's spirit, causing them to fall into an illusory dream world and then kill them. The bramble immortal Tao could interweave vines that filled the sky, binding even divine power and sealing all things. The three true immortals of the Manwei dynasty and the other two wanted to kill Lin Tian as quickly as possible, seize the thousand illusions sacred orchid, and the immortal emperor pagoda. They conjured immortal Tao laws and pressed down on Lin Tian at the same time. Immortal Tao! The black-armored true immortal Tao said true. The black-armored true immortal said coldly. The eyes of the other four were cold and indifferent. Their immortal Tao laws churned, almost shattering the sky. As Lin Tian faced the five immortal Tao laws, his essence, energy, and spirit trembled. He felt so tired that he wanted to fall into a deep sleep. He knew that this was the power of the brown-haired true immortal's illusory dream immortal Tao. Even before it truly pressed down, his essence, energy, and spirit were already greatly affected. At the same time, he felt pain all over his body because of the other four immortal Das. His bones were creaking and his organs were throbbing violently. It was extremely uncomfortable, as if his bones would shatter and his organs would be destroyed in the next moment. He truly felt the threat of death looming over him. It was as if he would disappear under the immortal Tao of the five immortal Das. His body was trembling, but his expression did not change at all. There was not a trace of fear on his face. In the next moment, faint light intertwined around his body. The immortal Tao of the nameless great Tao propped itself up, and Tao radiance circled around his body. "I'm counting on you," he muttered to himself. He had never been sure what Tao he had comprehended, but he was absolutely certain that the Tao he had comprehended was very powerful. At this moment, the five true immortals had activated their immortal Tao laws. If he wanted to fight them, the best way was naturally to use Tao as a weapon. Strands of Tao radiance surged out of his body and encircled him. The tiredness caused by the brown-haired true immortal's illusory dream immortal Tao instantly vanished. At the same time, the pain caused by the other four Taos was greatly reduced. Then, Tao radiance surged and turned into a Tao wave that met the immortal Tao laws of the true immortals. The five true immortals' expressions changed slightly when they saw Lin Tian's Tao. They frowned because they could not tell what Tao Lin Tian had activated. At the same time, they realized that the immortal Taos they had activated had a much weaker effect on Lin Tian. They could not exert absolute pressure on Lin Tian in terms of Tao momentum. However, they did not care about this because their immortal Taos had not truly reached Lin Tian yet. "Kill!" the black-armored true immortal said coldly. His thorny immortal Taos truly pressed toward Lin Tian and wrapped around Lin Tian. At the same time, the other four cultivators' immortal Taos also pressed down on Lin Tian like four waves of destruction. Lin Tian's body trembled violently. He could feel the immense pressure, but he was not afraid at all. His eyes were resolute. He firmly believed that his nameless Tao law was definitely not inferior to the immortal Tao. He firmly believed that his nameless Tao law would not lose to the immortal Taos of the five true immortals after he had used the Ascension Divine Pill and endless power of faith to increase his combat strength by dozens of times. With the thought, the Tao wave formed by the nameless Tao law surged even more violently toward the immortal Taos of the five true immortals. In the blink of an eye, the Tao wave formed by his nameless Tao law collided with the immortal Taos of the five true immortals. Boom! There was a shocking explosion as the nameless Tao law collided with the immortal Taos of the five true immortals. The sky and earth shook together. Crack! 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 There was a series of cracking sounds as the surrounding void cracked inch by inch. 6 different Tao powers collided with each other. the five immortal Taoists suppressed Lin Tian's nameless Tao law with vast destructive power. The immortal Taoists intertwined with each other, and were extremely frightening. Compared to Lin Tian's nameless Tao law, the five immortal Taoists of the Manwei dynasty and the two itinerant true immortals were much more powerful. On the surface, they seemed to be able to crush Lin Tian's nameless Tao law. However, in reality, the five immortal Taoists were completely blocked by Lin Tian's nameless Tao law. In fact, the five immortal Taoists seemed to have a consciousness of their own when they collided. What's going on? The five true immortals were truly shocked at this moment. Their immortal Tao law, one of their strongest techniques as true immortals, was completely blocked at this moment. It was blocked by the nameless Tao of a young cultivator who had yet to reach the true immortal realm. Impossible! Even if he relied on that strange white light to forcibly increase his battle prowess, his actual cultivation has yet to reach the true immortal level. If we were to compare Tao, he would definitely be crushed by us. But now this. The five true immortals were all shocked. Their immortal Taoists were completely blocked. In fact, after facing Lin Tian's Tao, the Tao light of their immortal Taoists gradually began to tremble as if they had a consciousness, as if they were afraid. Tao light surged around Lin Tian's body. The nameless Tao law intertwined with divine splendor and completely blocked the immortal Taoists of the five true immortals. Wisps of light intertwined in his eyes. His belief was not wrong. Although he did not know what Tao his Tao was, it was really very powerful. He looked ahead. His nameless Tao law collided with the immortal Taoists of the five true immortals, and the surrounding space collapsed inch by inch. "Break for me," he said in a low voice. As soon as he finished speaking, his nameless Tao law emitted a Tao light under the multiplication of his battle strength. It rumbled and then turned into a shocking storm, shattering all the immortal Tao laws of the five true immortals. How can this be? The five true immortals' expressions changed again. Their bodies could not help but tremble. Their immortal Tao laws were shattered. A person who had yet to reach the true immortal realm had shattered their immortal Taoists with a pure Tao at this moment. Clang! Boom! The sound of a sword was ear-piercing, and thunder rumbled. The golden sword radiance and silver lightning struck the five true immortals. After Lin Tian used his nameless Tao law to shatter the immortal Taoists of the five true immortals, he immediately launched a fierce attack. The High Heaven Sword Scripture and five heaven-shaking thunders technique were activated to the maximum at the same time. Moreover, the nameless Tao law was also powerful, causing the entire space to distort. Damn it! The five true immortals' eyes were extremely cold. Although they were surprised by the strangeness and power of Lin Tian's Tao that could shatter their immortal Taoists, they did not lose their composure at this moment. They pulled open their immortal Taoists and faced Lin Tian's attack. In an instant, the six of them fought fiercely. Divine powers and secret skills clashed, and Tao radiance clashed. The scene was terrifying. A violent storm swept out in all directions. Mountains exploded one after another. Divine power surged outside Lin Tian's body. He wielded the Xian Luo immortal sword in his right hand and slashed again and again. The silver lightning formed by the five heaven-shaking thunders technique also carried an extremely domineering and strong power as it continuously attacked the five true immortals. His nameless Tao law was not weaker than the immortal Taoists of the five true immortals. However, his cultivation level had not reached the true immortal realm after all. He had only used the Ascension Divine Elixir and the power of faith to forcefully increase his combat strength. At this moment, even if his Tao was not weaker than the immortal Taoists of the five true immortals, the pressure on him was still huge and was increasing as time went by. However, his expression did not change. There was no trace of fear or wariness. His eyes were deep and there were wisps of strange light in them. He slashed with the Xian Luo immortal sword in his right hand while his left hand moved slightly. The Tao diagram of the four symbols slowly formed. Mighty strands of dazzling sealing divine power were thrown directly at the five true immortals. The five true immortals naturally did not care about Lin Tian's Tao diagram of the four symbols. They attacked at the same time and shattered the diagram. However, the moment the Tao diagram was shattered, all 5 of them changed their expressions. After the Tao diagram was shattered, a treasured bell with Tao patterns and divine seals intertwined all over it was revealed. It was intertwined with the aura of a true immortal and immortal Tao laws. It was a true immortal artifact. At this time, the true immortal aura and immortal Tao law outside this true immortal weapon treasured bell were extremely chaotic and violent. It had reached the state of self-destruction. The 5 true immortals' expressions changed drastically. They all backed away from the treasured bell. Unfortunately, it was still a little too late. Explode! A cold word came out of Lin Tian's mouth. Boom! An earth-shattering roar instantly exploded in this space. The true immortal artifact level bell exploded, and a terrifying aura of destruction spread out, turning into a ripple of destruction. In the blink of an eye, it covered the 5 true immortals at the same time. Chapter 1503. The bell was called the Everlasting Bell. It was a genuine immortal weapon of the Everlasting Immortal sect that Lin Tian had obtained from the Everlasting Ancient Star. At this time, Lin Tian was very clear about one thing. He might be able to fight against 5 genuine immortals in a short time after forcibly increasing his battle strength, but as time went by, the situation would become more and more unfavorable for him. Moreover, even if his battle strength had increased by dozens of times, it was really not possible for him to defeat 5 genuine immortals. After all, a real genuine immortal was really very powerful. Therefore, he decisively self-destructed a genuine immortal weapon at this time, and secretly suppressed the Everlasting Bell with the 4-symbol sealing technique towards the 5 genuine immortals, so that they would not be able to detect it. Then, when the 5 broke the Tao diagram of the 4 symbols, the Everlasting Bell, which had been triggered by him, was exposed. It had reached the critical point of self-destruction and directly exploded. At that point in time, even a powerful genuine immortal would not have time to dodge or defend. Boom! The 5 genuine immortals exploded at the same time. The whole space here roared, and the void and the earth were shattered beyond recognition. A terrible hurricane swept out, and the wind was terrifying. Damn it! There was a roar, and in the void, blood fog intertwined and surged. The 5 genuine immortals reformed their bodies in the blink of an eye. Junior! The 5 of them stared at Lin Tian, their eyes cold and full of anger. They never thought that Lin Tian would have other genuine immortal weapons besides the Xian Luo Sword of Immortals. Moreover, he had self-destructed a genuine immortal weapon, and hid it in the Tao diagram of the 4-symbol sealing technique. Using the sealing power to conceal it from their perception, he directly detonated it in front of them. It was a true immortal weapon! The destructive power of detonating a true immortal weapon was no joke. Even though they were true immortal experts, it was still very difficult for them to completely withstand the self-destruction of a true immortal weapon. At this moment, each of them had suffered unimaginable injuries. Their essence, qi, and spirit were greatly weakened, and their faces were pale. At this moment, the killing intent in their eyes intensified as they stared at Lin Tian. They wanted nothing more than to tear Lin Tian apart. Bearing the self-destruction of the genuine immortal weapon pagoda, their spirits were almost shattered. Outside Lin Tian's body, silver lightning crisscrossed, and electric arcs sizzled, giving off a domineering and majestic feeling. He looked at the 5 immortals with a cold expression on his face. Xian Lu Immortal Sword of Immortals pointed his Sword of Immortals. In an instant, dense Sword Immortal Sword of Immortals appeared. A sword immortal weapon of immortals. Now that they had destroyed a true immortal artifact, all 5 of them were in trouble. Whether it was the circulation of their divine power, the circulation of their immortal Tao, the strength of their souls, or their physical strength, all of them had been weakened by more than half. Naturally, he would not give up on this excellent opportunity to attack. Originally, he had destroyed a sex-true immortal artifact in order to create a situation that was advantageous to him. Clang! Sword of Immortal level, Xian Lu Immortal Sword of Immortal level, slashed out. Every slash was swift and fierce, cutting through space, earth, and mountains. The 5 immortals were momentarily exhausted from defending themselves. This was because they had been severely injured by the self-destruction of the eternal bell of immortal level. Now, their spirits were all very unstable. Swoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out. Lin Tian was extremely fast, leaving behind afterimages with each step. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of the immortal in black armor. "You said you want to kill everyone here?" His voice was cold. The immortal in black armor was shocked. He had just been severely injured by the self-destruction of his genuine immortal weapon. His strength was greatly reduced in all aspects. Now that Lin Tian was in front of him again, he could not help but feel his scalp go numb when he met Lin Tian's cold eyes. He quickly retreated. Clang! The sound of the sword was ear-piercing. Lin Tian swung his sword. The speed of the sword was undoubtedly much faster than the speed at which the immortal in black armor was retreating. In the blink of an eye, the sword landed on the immortal in black armor and cut him into pieces. The immortal in black armor roared in anger. His spirit was not destroyed. His soul power surged and wrapped around his broken body, quickly reforming it. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. With a shift of his mind, the 5 thunders of heaven-shaking incantation was activated. In an instant dense silver lightning was summoned. Each lightning bolt was like the light of heavenly tribulation. They enveloped the immortal in black armor's broken body, which was in the process of reforming. For a moment the sound of puff, puff, puff rang out continuously. The silver lightning struck at an extremely fast speed, causing the immortal in black armor's broken body to become even more damaged in the blink of an eye. Damn it! The immortal in black armor roared in anger. After suffering the impact of the self-destruction of the true immortal artifact, he had also suffered several heavy blows from Lin Tian. His injuries had worsened at this moment, and his soul was trembling violently. He did his best, and the laws of the immortal Tao surged. He summoned the immortal Tao of Thorns, which turned into chains of light that wrapped around him to protect his soul. It also increased his soul power by several times in a short period of time, allowing him to reform his body at an extremely fast speed. However, Lin Tian did not give him a chance at all. He took a step forward and pressed down with the nameless Tao Law. Cracking sounds could be heard, and the immortal Tao of Thorns that the immortal in black armor had summoned only struggled for a moment before it was crushed into pieces by the nameless Tao Law. The immortal in black armor's broken body and soul were immediately exposed, and he lost all his defenses in a short period of time. Moreover, Lin Tian's true body also approached at this moment. The reincarnation diagram of the king's territory propped up behind him and immediately emitted a sacred and vast aura that suppressed the entire sky. The immortal in black armor's soul trembled, and he naturally sensed how terrifying the reincarnation diagram was. It carried a wave that could annihilate all things, and he immediately felt a huge threat. Stop! Stop! Everything is negotiable! That person cried out as fear appeared in his eyes. At that moment, he could clearly sense that in his current state, if he were to be struck by that divine diagram, he would definitely be reduced to ashes. There would be no other outcome. Lin Tian did not say anything else and would not show any mercy at all. The reincarnation diagram pressed down mightily. Ah! The immortal in black armor screamed miserably as he was shrouded by the reincarnation diagram. With Lin Tian's transcendence divine pill and the power of faith, he was directly crushed into pieces. This time, he was truly crushed. His physical body disappeared, and his soul was destroyed as well. He completely disappeared from heaven and earth. How could this be? In this space, the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty and the brown-haired true immortal trembled in unison. Lin Tian actually killed the immortal in black armor. His cultivation had not reached the true immortal realm, but now, he had killed a real true immortal. At the same time, in the faraway Huai forest, Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu were also shocked when they saw this scene. He really killed an immortal. Wishing Crocodile's eyes flickered. The fact that Lin Tian had been able to stop the 5 true immortals after amplifying his combat power by tens of times was already shocking enough. At that very moment, however, it was even more shocked. Despite having to face 5 true immortals alone, Lin Tian had managed to kill off one of them. Although he knew that to a large extent, it was because Lin Tian had destroyed a genuine immortal artifact, which had caused great damage to the 5 genuine immortals. That was why he was able to kill the black-armored genuine immortal. However, he could not suppress his surprise. Clang! The sound of the sword was ear-piercing and clanging. Tens of thousands of feet away, Lin Tian moved again. He swung the Xian Luo immortal sword in his hand, interweaving sword lights that filled the sky, and slashed toward the other 4 true immortals. He had self-destructed a genuine immortal artifact, causing the 5 genuine immortals to suffer unimaginable injuries. At this time, he naturally had to grasp the situation tightly and firmly hold the advantage of the battle on his side. He directly launched a fierce attack on the 4 genuine immortals, not giving them the slightest chance to catch their breaths, not giving them the slightest chance to heal their injuries. Damn it! Don't hold back, attack him together. The brown-haired true immortal growled. Without holding back, he directly raised the illusory dream immortal Dao and pressed it toward Lin Tian. The 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty naturally understood the current situation. At this moment, they did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. They all cooperated with the brown-haired true immortal, each of them using the immortal Dao precepts and various great divine abilities and secret arts to jointly attack Lin Tian. For a moment, there was a rumble and the sky was filled with divine light. Unparalleled killing light seemed to want to shatter everything around them. Lin Tian's black hair danced in front of his forehead. His eyes were indifferent as he rushed forward, not at all dodging the killing light of the immortal Dao precepts. At this time, the 4 true immortal artifacts were severely injured because of the self-destruction of the Bell of Eternity. The immortal Dao precepts they used were much weaker than before, but he was still at his peak. The advantage of the battle was completely on his side. Buzz! The nameless Dao precept surged and shone brightly. At this moment, he released it. Then, the reincarnation diagram was raised again, and in the blink of an eye, it merged with the nameless Dao precepts and turned into the strongest reincarnation diagram of the great Dao, which pressed toward the 4 true immortals at the same time. 4 crisp cracking sounds were heard. The reincarnation diagram of the great Dao was incomparably powerful. In the blink of an eye, it shattered the immortal Dao precepts and secret arts that the 4 true immortals had used. It arrived in front of the 4 in an instant. Unparalleled power surged and shook violently, its power intimidating. Pft! 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 4 mists of blood exploded. The 4 true immortals were crushed at the same time. Only their spiritual bodies were barely preserved. Even though their spiritual bodies were preserved, their spiritual bodies were filled with dense cracks. Like the most fragile porcelain, it was as if they would break with a casual touch. This caused the spiritual bodies of the 4 true immortals to tremble violently. Each of them was shocked. They quickly shook their spiritual bodies and reformed their bodies. Boom! Rolling thunder surged, and the sky turned dark in an instant. Lin Tian stepped forward and activated the 5 heaven-shaking thunder incantation. He directly activated the 5 heavenly thunder dominion grand theurgy, interweaving a sea of thunder around him and enveloping the 4 true immortals in this sea of thunder. Then, without any movement, he disappeared from where he was in an instant. The next moment, he appeared in front of the purple-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty. He raised his right hand and the reincarnation diagram appeared again. He held it in his hand and crushed it like a millstone. The true immortal of the Manwei dynasty's spiritual body trembled violently. His eyes were filled with fear. Stop! Stop! I'm the true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty! You can't kill me! Chapter 1504. Just like the black-armored true immortal, the purple-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty could feel the terrifying power of Lin Tian's reincarnation portrait. If he was hit, he would definitely die in his current state. Stop! We can negotiate! The man shouted. Lin Tian's expression did not change. Because of Yan Zhongwang, the Wanwei dynasty had put out a bounty on his head. Moreover, after seeing his immortal Emperor Pagoda, they wanted to kill him and seize the immortal Emperor Pagoda. Talking about peace, with him now was simply a joke. He was sure that if he let this man go, this tribe would organize an even stronger force to deal with him. Buzz! The reincarnation portrait in his hand shone with immortal divine light. It came down mightily and instantly fell on the man's head. No! The man's divine soul screamed. Then, in the next moment, it shattered into pieces and disappeared completely under the reincarnation portrait. The second true immortal. In the Huai Tree Forest, Wishing Crocodile looked in this direction and could not help but be shocked. In the blink of an eye, 2 true immortal experts were killed by Lin Tian. Beside him, little Taichu's eyes could not help but flicker a little. The ordinary villagers had long been stunned by the battle between Lin Tian and the 5 true immortals shown by Wishing Crocodile. In their eyes, Lin Tianyi and the others were like gods. Boom! Tens of thousands of feet away, thunder roared. Silver lightning interweaved in the large space, and the power of the thunder shook people's souls. You! The blue-robed and golden-robed true immortals of the Manwei dynasty had reformed their bodies. They could not help but tremble. After killing the black-armored true immortal, Lin Tian killed the purple-robed true immortal in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the brown-haired true immortal was also trembling. He had been thinking about killing Lin Tian to seize the immortal Emperor Pagoda, and then the 1,000 Illusions sacred orchid. But now, after seeing Lin Tian kill the black-armored true immortal and the purple-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty, he could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. His internal organs were trembling, and his eyes were full of horror. Boom! Thunder roared. In this place, the silver lightning interweaved by the 5 heavenly thunder technique became even more terrifying. Lin Tian was in this sea of thunder, like the thunder god. At this moment, his eyes fell on the golden-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty. Without saying anything, he disappeared on the spot and appeared in front of the golden-robed true immortal in the next moment. The golden-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty trembled. He did not see Lin Tian move at all, but Lin Tian appeared in front of him directly. It was as if he had really teleported, which shocked him. How did you? Clang! The sound of the sword rang out. Lin Tian swung the Xian Luo immortal sword in his hand. It looked like an ordinary sword move, but it was actually one of the top divine skills in the Heavenly Sword Manual. The sharp sword power was concentrated on the sword, and it steadily struck the golden-robed true immortal. With a puff, the golden-robed true immortal, who had been seriously injured, was directly split into pieces. Lin Tian raised his left hand slightly. The reincarnation map appeared again, and directly pressed down on the golden-robed true immortal's body and spirit. Stop! Ah! The golden-robed true immortal screamed. Under the reincarnation map, the golden-robed true immortal's spirit was directly crushed, and he died completely. In an instant, only the blue-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty and the brown-haired true immortal were left in the sea of thunder. Both of them could not help but tremble. Lin Tian had used the special white light to forcibly increase his battle strength, and then concealed it by self-destructing a true immortal weapon to severely injure them. After that, he launched a series of attacks. Every move seemed to have been calculated. This kind of fighting talent made true immortal experts like them shocked. At the same time, at this time, while they were shocked, they were also terrified. Lin Tian had killed 3 true immortals in a row, and they were next. It was also at this moment that Lin Tian silently appeared in front of the brown-haired true immortal while the 2 of them were trembling in fear. This Sea of Lightning was a domain-type divine ability, 5 lightning divine territory. With this Sea of Lightning as an area, he could teleport to any area with just a thought. In fact, it was no different from teleportation in real life. The brown-haired true immortal trembled and quickly retreated. He quickly said, "Little friend, have mercy!" This old man swears that he will never take the 1,000 illusion orchid again, and will never have any ideas about your primordial divine pagoda again. Are you thinking that I've used a special method to forcibly increase my strength, and that you'll come to find me and kill me to take the primordial pagoda after this special method has worn off? Lin Tian now. The brown-haired true immortal seemed to have been seen through. A dark light flashed in his eyes, and his immortal body trembled. Little friend, you misunderstand. This old man is definitely not thinking of that. Lin Tianyi did not say a word. Ever since he stepped onto the path of cultivation, he had experienced battle after battle. How could he not know how to read a person's expression? This person was clearly planning to kill him and seize the immortal Emperor Pagoda after the battle prowess that he had gained through special means wore off. He could easily see through this. In fact, if there was enough time, and if the 1,000 illusion orchid had not withered away, he would have taken the 1,000 illusion orchid as well. He looked at this person, then silently appeared in front of him again. The immortal sword in his hand slashed down mercilessly. Clang! The Xian Lu immortal sword let out a deafening hum. Its sharp sword aura enveloped the brown-haired true immortal, crushing a large area of space. With a poof, the brown-haired true immortal was unable to dodge. He was smashed to pieces by the sword, leaving only a strand of his spirit to escape. However, in the next moment, there was a deafening clap of thunder. A bolt of silver lightning as thick as a water bucket fell from the sky, like a true immortal's heavenly tribulation. It drowned the true immortal's spirit. Arg! The true immortal screamed as his spirit was reduced to ashes. Lin Tian did not care. He turned to look at the last person in the sea of thunder, the blue-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty. The blue-robed true immortal trembled when he met Lin Tian's gaze. You! Don't do anything stupid! You've already killed 2 of my dynasty's true immortals and true ancestors. You've committed a heinous crime! If you kill me again, my dynasty will not let you go! The true immortal stared at Lin Tian Dao. If I don't kill you, you and the Manwei dynasty will not target me in the future? I believe that, but do you believe that? Lin Tian looked at the true immortal. A strange light flashed in the eyes of the blue-robed true immortal of the Manwei dynasty. He nodded and said, I swear, as long as you. Clang! The hum of the sword was ear-piercing. Lin Tian swung his sword, and a sharp sword light slashed toward the true immortal. If he didn't kill him, this true immortal would not target him? That was a joke. It was impossible. As long as this person was still alive, he would definitely use an even more powerful method to find him, and kill him. This was something that even a fool could see, so how could he not understand? He couldn't be bothered to listen to this true immortal's nonsense. The sharp sword light he slashed out reached the blue-robed true immortal in the blink of an eye, and slashed straight through. Poof! For a moment blood splattered. The blue-robed true immortal was smashed to pieces. He raised his left hand and clenched it into a fist. The sea of lightning immediately gathered, and the dense silver lightning converged into a thunderous sword. It slashed down on the blue-robed true immortal's body and the true immortal's spirit, directly smashing them to pieces. In an instant, both body and spirit were destroyed. In an instant, the place fell silent. The 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty and the 2 true immortals who were independent cultivators, without exception, were all killed in this place. They're all wiped out. In the Huai forest, Wishing Crocodile watched this scene with flickering eyes. From the beginning of the battle until now, only an hour had passed. In this hour, Lin Tianyi had cleanly killed 5 true immortal experts. Next to him, little Taichu was the same. His eyes could not help but tremble slightly. Those 5 people were all killed. Are they really dead this time? A villager asked in a trembling voice. At the beginning, the brown-haired true immortal's chest was pierced through by a sword. It seemed that he was going to die, but he did not. Later in the battle, through the divine sense imprint projected by Wishing Crocodile, they saw that the bodies of several true immortal experts were blown to pieces several times, but they still came back to life. Therefore, at this time, although the 5 true immortals did not reappear in the image projected by Wishing Crocodile, they still did not know whether they were really dead or not. "They're dead," Wishing Crocodile said. At the same time, the divine sense imprint projected by the villagers cracked and dissipated in the blink of an eye. Hearing Wishing Crocodile's words, the villagers could not help but tremble. Those 5 people had severely injured Snow Wolf, who was closely related to their village, and destroyed the resting place of the most important witch in their village. They were full of anger toward those 5 people. At this time, seeing Lin Tiansha and the 5 dead people, they could not help but feel relieved. However, at the same time, their faces were slightly pale. After all, they were just ordinary mortals. Seeing 5 people die in front of them, and their bodies were shattered again and again along the way, made them tremble. Thousands of feet away, Lin Tian's body was stained with blood. It was the blood of the 5 true immortals, and also his own blood. At the same time, his face was slightly pale. After all, he had fought and killed 5 true immortal experts alone. Even though he had used the Transcendence Elixir and the power of faith to increase his battle strength by dozens of times, and even destroyed a true immortal artifact to kill his enemies, he still suffered some injuries. With a slight thought, he stored the Xian Luo's sword into his body. Then, looking toward the Huai Tree Forest, he appeared outside in one step. He walked in from outside the Huai Tree Forest, nodded to Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu, and slowly walked to the blood-stained Snow Wolf. At this time, the Snow Wolf's life force was even weaker, and could be extinguished at any time. The Snow Wolf's demonic eyes were very dim, and there was no light. At this moment, it could see that Lin Tian had returned. Blood was dripping from its mouth, and its dim eyes looked at Lin Tian. It moved its mouth, but could not make a sound. Lin Tian could understand that the other party was saying, "Thank you" to him. Chapter 1505. Lin Tian looked at the Snow Wolf. It was covered in blood, and its life force was too weak. It could die at any time. "There's no need to do this," he said. The Snow Wolf's eyes were already very dim. There was no luster. It knew what Lin Tian was talking about, but it did not respond. Perhaps it feels that if that witch hadn't saved it back then, its life would have ended hundreds of thousands of years ago, and it wouldn't have lived until now. However, the scene of the 1,000 illusion divine orchid blooming only lasts for 2 hours. It has lived for hundreds of thousands of years because of the witch, but the scene of the 1,000 illusion divine orchid blooming can only be displayed in this place for 2 hours at most. It has already lived for hundreds of thousands of years, and it has to at least preserve this short period of time for that witch," Wishing Crocodile said. Lin Tian was silent. How could he not think of something that Wishing Crocodile could think of? At this moment, looking at the Snow Wolf, he really didn't know how to persuade it. On the side, the villagers looked at the Snow Wolf with worry on their faces. The old doctors in the village had already taken out all kinds of herbs to help the Snow Wolf stop the bleeding and treat it, but it was useless. Now, the Snow Wolf's injuries were something that even a golden immortal could not do anything about. How could these ordinary people's medical skills be able to cure it? At this time, in this place, only the 1,000 illusion divine orchid could completely cure the Snow Wolf. However, the Snow Wolf himself was unwilling. Even if it meant death, it would maintain the scene of the 1,000 illusion divine orchid blooming for 2 hours. Buzz! All kinds of divine light interweaved in this place. Immortal herbs, divine trees, strange flowers, and all kinds of beautiful scenery appeared one by one. The dilapidated locust tree forest was enveloped by the strange phenomenon of the sea of flowers, interweaving a peerless scenery that was like a poem and a painting. It was magnificent. Snow Wolf's aura was rapidly fading away. His dim eyes were fixed on the witch's tombstone. Lin Tian looked at the other party. Even though the other party's eyes were so dim that they seemed to be about to turn pitch black, he could still see the color of satisfaction in them. Even though he was about to die, he had brought the 1,000 illusion god orchid and was able to guarantee that the 1,000 illusion god orchid would bloom for 2 hours. To be able to die in the witch's resting place, this snow wolf felt that this life was not in vain. Looking at her, he really didn't know what to say. He could only feel deeply moved in his heart. This snow wolf, how precious were the feelings of the other party. No other treasure could compare to it. Who? In the ruined scholar tree forest, gusts of wind blew, bringing with them the scattered scholar tree leaves. The sound of a zither suddenly rang out. It was tranquil and peaceful, and it came from the witch's tomb. In the blink of an eye, the entire ruined scholar tree forest was filled with the sound of the zither. The tranquil melody gathered but did not disperse. Lin Tian was moved. The zither music that he had heard before appeared again. Moreover, it was even more tranquil than before. Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu were also moved. Obviously, they had also heard the zither music that was even more tranquil than before. This is zither music? There's zither music. It's zither music. I heard it. It's zither music. It's coming from the witch's tombstone. I heard it too. The witch's spirit has manifested? The villagers were both excited and shocked. Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu were also moved. At this time, these ordinary people could also hear that kind of zither music? I heard it. I heard it too. I actually heard the sound of the witch's zither. Is it really the sound that the witch left behind when she played the zither? The old man with the walking stick was so excited that he trembled. Not long ago, he was still lamenting that he also wanted to hear that kind of zither music. Now, not long after, he heard it. In front of the witch's tomb, Snow Wolf was covered in blood. He was originally unable to move, but now, he couldn't help but tremble violently. He also heard the zither music. At this time, he looked at the witch's tombstone. His broken demon body kept trembling, and tears gradually fell from his dim and lusterless eyes. Back then, when it was still young, it almost became food for a ferocious ape. It was saved by a witch who happened to be picking herbs in the forest. She treated its injuries and kept it by her side for the next few days. It was then that she discovered the seedling of the Thousand Illusion Orchid. At that time, the witch looked at the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid and sighed with emotion. The scenery of the sacred orchid blooming is very beautiful. I really want to see it, but I can't see it. He was right next to her and heard every word. However, it was still very young at that time, so it didn't understand why the witch would say things like, I can't see anymore. After that, it would go to the witch's village from time to time to see her and listen to her playing the zither in the Huai Tree Forest. With the zither music, it, who was already extraordinary, gradually gained a lot of insights and found its own way of cultivation. It slowly grew on this path, and it also felt that the witch was not ordinary and was very powerful. Then, more than 10 years passed in a flash. One day, when he stepped into the village again, he found that the witch had passed away. He was immediately heartbroken and tearfully built a tomb for the witch. He carved a tombstone with flamestone and stood guard for the witch's tomb for 49 days. It was also at that time that he finally understood why the witch said that when she saw the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid seedling. The scenery of the sacred orchid blooming is very beautiful. I really want to see it, but I can't see it. The witch already knew that she didn't have much time left to live and couldn't wait for the sacred orchid to bloom. At that time, he left after 49 days of guarding the witch's tomb. He found the place where the witch found the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid seedling and stood guard there. At that time, he made up his mind to guard the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid until it bloomed and then bring it to the witch's tomb. When the witch was alive, she wanted to see the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid bloom but didn't have the chance. But at the very least, he wanted to present the scenery of the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid in front of the witch's tomb. After more than 10,000 years, he had always guarded the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid and cultivated to the true immortal realm. Now that the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid had bloomed, he brought it here and perfectly presented the scenery of the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid in front of the witch's tomb. He felt very satisfied. But even so, even if he did this, the witch was still dead. Now that he heard the zither music again, he couldn't help but cry. He hoped that the witch was still alive. She had always been alive. Whoosh! A gentle breeze swept through this space. The melodious zither music lingered in the white tree forest, gathering and not dispersing. Then, the thickest zither music circled around Snow Wolf, and it was even more peaceful. Lin Tian looked at Snow Wolf, and his eyes couldn't help but flicker. The zither music here was so strong that even the ordinary villagers could hear it. Was it because of Snow Wolf's obsession? Yeah. Little Taichu and Lin Tian had the same thoughts. At this time, they also felt a little uncomfortable looking at Snow Wolf. The sound of the zither drifted through the broken scholar tree forest, interweaving with the strange phenomena created by the thousand illusion divine orchid. It was even more beautiful and magnificent. Time passed in the blink of an eye. Half an hour passed. At this time, almost 2 hours had passed since the thousand illusions sacred orchid first bloomed. The vision of the sea of flowers became even more dazzling, as if it was the final radiance of the setting sun before it was about to dry up. Snow Wolf looked at the witch's tomb. The light of life in his eyes was about to disappear completely. He was about to die, but he didn't care at all. He didn't have the slightest reluctance to leave this world. He seemed very peaceful, as if he could go to another world and see the witch again if he died now. He moved his gaze and looked at Lin Tian. His lips moved, and finally he silently said, "Thank you." Then, his gaze fell on the witch's tomb again. For a moment, the wind here became stronger, and the zither music in the broken Huai tree forest became louder. Lin Tian looked at him, at the witch's tomb, and at the withered thousand illusions sacred orchid in front of the witch's tomb. He clenched his fists. "Enough," he said. He moved his divine power, and the dragon patterns on the bottom of his feet spread out. He directly swept up the thousand illusions sacred orchid in front of the witch's tomb. 2 hours are almost up. It's really enough. There's no need to sacrifice your life. He circulated his divine power. At the moment when the thousand illusions sacred orchid was about to dry up, he forcibly began to refine it with his divine power. He sent strands of medicinal essence into the Snow Wolf's body. At this time, only the thousand illusions sacred orchid could save this Snow Wolf. He really couldn't bear to see him die. It would be too much of a pity for such a loyal Snow Wolf to die like this. He should live well. Therefore, at this time, even if the Snow Wolf was unwilling to refine the thousand illusions sacred orchid to heal his injuries, he didn't care. He forcibly took the thousand illusions sacred orchid and refined it. He sent its medicinal essence into the severely injured Snow Wolf's body to help the severely injured Snow Wolf recover. The effect of the thousand illusions sacred orchid was indeed astonishing. As he refined the thousand illusions sacred orchid and sent its medicinal essence into the Snow Wolf's body, the Snow Wolf's injuries began to heal in an instant. His life force, which was about to be extinguished, quickly recovered. The Snow Wolf's body trembled. Clearly, he didn't expect Lin Tian to do this. Anxiety immediately appeared in his demon eyes. He didn't want this to happen. Don't struggle. Relax and let the medicinal essence heal your injuries. Then live. Lin Tian looked at him, then at the witch's tomb in front of him. He said, "If that witch's soul knows that you gave up your life in order to let the thousand illusions sacred orchid bloom in front of her tomb, she won't be happy at all. She'll only be sad. Brat Lin is right. If you die here, that witch definitely won't be happy." Wishing Crocodile also spoke. The little Taichu looked at the Snow Wolf and made a babyish "ya" sound. It was clearly expressing the same thoughts as Lin Tian and Wishing Crocodile. The Snow Wolf trembled slightly when he heard this. After struggling a few more times, he stopped moving. Now, there was no use in struggling. He could only look straight at the witch's tomb, his demon eyes filled with unconcealable sadness. Being alive is also a way to repay that witch's kindness. She saved you back then because she wanted you to live well, Lin Tian said. He vibrated his divine power and quickly refined the thousand illusions sacred orchid. He sent the medicinal essence of the thousand illusions sacred orchid into the Snow Wolf's body, causing the Snow Wolf's injuries to heal even faster. Chapter 1506. The Divine Orchid Intertwined with Immortal Light. Lin Tian refined it with his divine power, and the medicinal power transformed into pure divine light that surged toward the heavily injured snow wolf. It could be seen that the snow wolf's damaged body, to the point where its bones and internal organs could be seen, was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Its essence, energy, and spirit were recovering rapidly, and its life force was gradually becoming stronger. All the villagers were astonished at this place. They were only ordinary mortals and couldn't sense the changes in the snow wolf's essence, energy, and life aura, but they could see the snow wolf's damaged body rapidly healing. This shocked them, and many of them couldn't help but tremble. However, after seeing the terrifying and fantastical scenes from before, these villagers' astonishment disappeared in an instant. Instead, it was replaced by excitement and anticipation. Because on the surface, the snow wolf's injuries were rapidly healing, and it seemed that it wouldn't be long before it fully recovered and regained its vitality. This naturally made them very happy, because this snow wolf had a very close relationship with their village. Buzz! The thousand illusion orchid glowed, and the miraculous medicinal power of the divine orchid rapidly surged into the snow wolf's body under Lin Tian's control. In the blink of an eye, more than an hour passed. More than an hour later, with a crack, the thousand illusion orchid shattered, and the snow wolf's injured body was completely healed. Its essence, energy, and spirit were restored to their peak, and it could move on its own, standing up from the ground. Recovered? It's fine! At this place, all the villagers were very excited when they saw the recovered snow wolf. Everyone rushed forward and surrounded it. Many people reached out to stroke the snow wolf's fur. Seeing that it had truly recovered, they were all even happier. No one was afraid of this snow wolf. After all, one reason was that these villagers didn't know how terrifying this snow wolf's battle prowess was. Another reason was that this snow wolf truly had a close relationship with the village, and these villagers completely treated the snow wolf as one of their own. No matter how strong and powerful their own people were, who would be afraid? The snow wolf returned to normal. Its body was not much different from that of an ordinary snow wolf. It did not resist the touch of these ordinary villagers. For it, this village was the village that the witches had protected and lived in. It naturally had a sense of familiarity with these villagers. He stood up and looked at the witch's tomb in front of him. There was a hint of sadness in his demonic eyes that could not be concealed. It had been tens of thousands of years since the witches had passed away, but to him, it was as if it had just happened yesterday. Buzz! Its demonic body moved slightly, and a gentle demonic light spread out, carrying with it a rich true immortal aura and immortal Tao laws. The demonic radiance spread out and enveloped the entire ruined scholar tree forest in the blink of an eye. For a moment, the soil on the ground of the ruined locust tree forest trembled slightly. The collapsed locust tree trees began to grow again at an extremely fast speed. In just a dozen breaths, a new locust tree forest grew in this place. It was not much different from the locust tree forest before it was destroyed. To true immortal experts, making destroyed vegetation grow back was not a difficult task. It was very simple. Seeing this scene, all of the villagers were shocked. The broken locust tree forest was restored in the blink of an eye. It was truly shocking. The snow wolf stared fixedly at the witch's tomb. After dozens of breaths, it shifted its gaze and walked towards Lin Tian. Soon, it arrived in front of Lin Tian. Human, thank you? It did not take human form. It had cultivated to the true immortal realm in its beast form. Like the wishing crocodile and the little Taichu, it lowered its head slightly when it heard Lin Tian's voice. Lin Tian and it did not know each other, but for its sake, in order to protect the thousand illusions sacred orchid that it had brought for the witch, he fought against 5 true immortals alone. This made the snow wolf extremely grateful. Forcefully refining the thousand illusions sacred orchid was also to save it. At this moment, it only felt deep gratitude towards Lin Tian. Lin Tian shook his head. He looked at the snow wolf and said, "No need. What you did for the witch is worthy of my battle." The snow wolf did not say much. It looked at Lin Tian and lowered its head slightly, using this method to thank Lin Tian. Don't be like this. Raise your head, Lin Tian said. For a true immortal expert who had lived for hundreds of thousands of years, lowering its head to him at this moment could be said to be the highest form of courtesy. It was very solemn. The snow wolf lowered its head slightly. Although Lin Tian had spoken, it did not raise its head until dozens of breaths later. Thank you? It spoke again. It valued friendship, but it was not good at talking. Other than saying thank you, it did not know how to say other grand words. Then, its gaze fell on the witch's tomb in the locust tree forest again. There was still a faint sadness in its demonic eyes. Lin Tian did not say anything. He looked at the snow wolf and then looked at the witch's tomb. He could not help but sigh slightly. Whether it was the witch or the snow wolf, they all valued the word kindness very much. He stood beside the snow wolf and looked at the witch's tomb with the snow wolf. Beside them, the wishing crocodile and the little Taichu were also looking at the witch's tomb quietly. All the villagers were also doing the same at this moment. Soon on this day, the sky became dark. The stars dotted the starry sky, and the full moon sprinkled silver moonlight all over the sky. Lin Tian, the wishing crocodile, the little Taichu, and the snow wolf were welcomed into a nearby village by the villagers. A lot of food was prepared. Lin Tian, the wishing crocodile, the little Taichu, and the snow wolf temporarily stayed in the village. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. On this day, Lin Tian was ready to leave. It was impossible for him to stay in this small village forever. What about you? He asked the snow wolf. The snow wolf looked in the direction of the locust tree forest. There was a hint of sadness in its eyes. Then, the sadness gradually disappeared. It said, I'll stay here and guard her tomb. I'll live in this village on her behalf. It said, like her, I won't teach the people in the village to cultivate. I won't interfere with their original path of life. Like her, I'll quietly guard here. The power of cultivators was very strong, far beyond that of mortals. However, how could the cruelty of the cultivation world be compared to that of the mortal world? Back then, the witch didn't want to drag the people in the village into the cruel cultivation world, so she didn't bring the power of cultivation to the villagers. It was very clear about this point. Therefore, it would guard here and guard this village on behalf of the witch. It wouldn't teach the people in the village to cultivate. It would silently guard the ordinary life of the village like the witch. As it spoke, it looked at Lin Tian and thanked Lin Tian now again. Then, its demonic power moved slightly, and a jade bottle flew out of its body. It was a space magic treasure. It floated straight to Lin Tian. There are many heavenly materials and earthly treasures in here, all of which grew next to the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid. Although their value is not as high as the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid, they are still useful to you. At least, they can help you and your 2 companions reach the Eternal Peak at the same time. At the same time, there are some other things in here. I got them from a big tomb in the mountain range where the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid grew. I'll give them all to you. Thank you for your kindness. Chapter 1507. Looking at the space jade bottle handed over by Snow Wolf, Lin Tian did not refuse. According to Snow Wolf, the treasures of heaven and earth in the jade bottle were indeed useful to him, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu. And they could help him, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu improve their cultivation from the middle stage of the Eternal Realm to the peak of the Eternal Realm. Then, these treasures of heaven and earth were of no use to Snow Wolf. After all, Snow Wolf's cultivation was now at the level of the genuine immortal realm. Thank you? He put away the small jade bottle and thanked Snow Wolf. At the same time, he opened his mouth again and asked Snow Wolf to raise his head. An expert of the genuine immortal realm bowed his head to him like this, and it was not the first time. It really made him feel a little ashamed. Snow Wolf raised his head. He was still in his monster form, and did not transform into his human form. Lin Tian and the others chatted with Snow Wolf for a long time, and then they said goodbye. Goodbye, Lin Tian said. Take care. Snow Wolf replied. Lin Tian nodded and waved at Snow Wolf. He took one last look in the direction of the White Tree Forest, and then turned and left with Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu. Snow Wolf stood outside the village until Lin Tianyi and the others were completely gone and disappeared from his sight. Only then did he return to the village. Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Tai Chu left the village. At this time, they had already walked far away and were walking in a mountain. Boy, find a hidden place and see what treasures of heaven and earth are in the small jade bottle. Then refine them and improve your cultivation, Wishing Crocodile said. Snow Wolf gave them a small jade bottle, saying that it contained a lot of heaven and earth treasures, which could help them reach the peak of the Eternal Realm from the middle stage of the Eternal Realm at the same time. At this time, it couldn't wait to see what kind of heaven and earth treasures were in the small jade bottle. Then, it could refine these heaven and earth treasures and raise its cultivation from the middle stage of the Eternal Realm to the peak of the Eternal Realm. Lin Tian nodded. In fact, he was also a little concerned about this. He immediately spread out his divine sense and found a hidden cave. The cave was relatively large. It was roughly 10 feet tall and occupied an area of several hundred square meters. He set up 9 ceiling formations near the cave, then took out the small jade bottle he got from Snow Wolf. Using his divine sense, he poured out all the contents of the bottle and piled them up in the cave. Among them, most of them were some immortal medicine and divine medicine, which immediately filled the cave with spiritual energy and medicinal fragrance, causing the man and the 2 beasts to involuntarily relax, giving rise to a comfortable feeling. Divine Thunder Sparrow Ganoderma, Golden Rainbow Ginseng, 9-leaf Dao Lotus, 3-color Jade Stalk, Flame Spirit Fruit, Soul Forging Immortal Root. The man and the 2 beasts were shocked. There were too many kinds of heaven and earth treasures in the small jade bottle. There were dozens of them, and they were all very valuable. For Eternal Realm experts, they could be called immortal treasures. They could directly improve the cultivation of Eternal Realm experts. They roughly estimated that the quantity of these heavenly materials and earthly treasures was enough to allow dozens of middle-stage Eternal experts to step into the peak of the Eternal Realm. The overall value of this place was quite amazing. It could be considered a super treasure trove. I heard from that guy that these heaven and earth treasures were all obtained near the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid. There are so many heaven and earth treasures in that land. This is simply... Wishing Crocodile's eyes widened. The land where the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid grows is very unusual. I've seen it before. The soil there is a very special kind of 3-colored spiritual soil. Even a divine object like the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid can grow perfectly on that kind of spiritual soil. It's normal that so many heaven and earth treasures can grow there. Lin Tian now. In addition to these extraordinary heaven and earth treasures, there were many other things in the small jade bottle. There were all kinds of extraordinary precious weapons such as the Bao Dan. They should have been obtained from a large tomb in the mountain range where the Thousand Illusions Sacred Orchid grew, as Snow Wolf said. Lin Tian glanced at these things, and his eyes suddenly fell on a piece of yellow sheepskin. His expression suddenly changed. This is... There were many things engraved on the sheepskin. It looked like a map. His eyes fell directly on the center of the sheepskin map, where a small colorful circle was engraved. It was marked with a very important note. This, the sword soul fragment? His eyes flickered. A small colorful circle was drawn on the map, and then a very important mark was made. It showed that the small colorful circle was extraordinary. He instantly associated it with the sword soul fragment. Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu naturally noticed his strange expression. They all came up and looked at the sheepskin map. Then, they saw the small colorful circle on the map. A small colorful circle with an important mark? This? Do you think that might be the kind of colorful light source you found several times before? Wishing Crocodile asked. Naturally, it could guess what Lin Tian was thinking at this time. It also had the same conjecture. Lin Tian looked at the small colorful circle in the center of the sheepskin map. There was a little glimmer in his eyes. He said, I'm not sure, but at least there is a small possibility. Master Crocodile thinks so too. Then, let's hurry up and refine these treasures of heaven and earth to raise our cultivation to the eternal peak. Then, let's go to the place marked on this map. Wishing Crocodile said. It knew that there were many kinds of colorful light sources scattered all over the world. Lin Tianyi had been looking for them, which was very important to Lin Tian. Lin Tian nodded. This sheepskin map should be obtained by Snow Wolf in the big tomb in the mountain range where the 1,000 illusion god orchid grew. Their group had been on this star for a long time. They knew many things about this star. It could be seen that the area recorded on the sheepskin map was on this ancient star. Since a group of colorful light sources was highlighted, it might be the sword's soul fragment. He naturally had to go and take a look. He put away the sheepskin map and some other things, leaving enough treasures of heaven and earth outside. Let's start, he said to Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu. At that moment, in this cave, they ran the ancient method and cultivated with the help of the many treasures of heaven and earth in the small jade bottle. Buzz! 3 different colors of light intertwined in this place in the blink of an eye, illuminating the cave. In this way, half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Half a month later, on this day, a strong fluctuation of divine power spread in this cave. Lin Tian was the first to make progress, stepping from the middle stage of the eternal realm to the eternal peak stage. Subsequently, Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu rushed out of their bodies one after another, each stepping into the eternal peak stage. The true immortal realm is coming soon. Wishing Crocodile was a little excited. There were several watersheds on the road of cultivation, namely the immortal realm, the great path realm, the eternal realm, the true immortal realm, and the true God realm. Among them, the immortal realm transformed genuine Qi into divine power. The Great Path realm controlled the Great Path law, the Eternal realm achieved immortality, the True Immortal realm controlled the Immortal Path law, and the True God realm controlled the complete Divine Path law. Now they were in the watershed period of the cross-domain True Immortal realm. Once they stepped into it, their strength in all aspects would increase dramatically. Don't be excited, it's still early to reach the True Immortal realm. Lin Tian now. After a cultivator stepped into the eternal realm and cultivated all the way to the eternal peak stage, the cultivation after that was to begin to comprehend the immortal path that existed between heaven and earth, capture the immortal path, and then condense celestial core power in the body. Once the first celestial core power was condensed, one could step from the eternal peak stage to the half-step true immortal realm. True immortal Qi and the immortal path law would intertwine. Next, one had to continue to comprehend the immortal path and condense celestial core power. One had to condense 9 celestial core power in the body in a row, and then integrate these 9 celestial core power to truly comprehend the corresponding immortal path of these 9 celestial core power. Only then could one step from the eternal realm to the true immortal realm. Simply put, after stepping into the eternal peak stage, one needed to comprehend the immortal path and condense 9 celestial core power in the body to step into the true immortal realm. Isn't it just 9 celestial core power? It won't take long for Lord Crocodile to settle it, and then step into the true immortal realm. Wishing Crocodile was quite proud. Lin Tian glanced at it, and then said, "Consolidate the realm first." At that moment, he, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu stayed in this cave, each operating their ancient scriptures to consolidate their current cultivation level. It wasn't until 3 days later that they woke up and stabilized their eternal peak cultivation. Lin Tianwei exhaled a turbid breath slightly. At this time, her physical body, sea of consciousness, soul, and other aspects were much stronger. At the same time, Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu's essence, Qi, and spirit were many times stronger than when they were in the eternal middle stage. Lin Tian waved his hand and took out the sheepskin map again at this time. His gaze fell on the small colorful circle in the center of the map, and his eyes were intertwined with wisps of light. "Let's go and have a look," he said. It was just a small 7-colored circle marked on the map, but he felt that it was a sword soul fragment. Maybe he was a little sensitive, But maybe that small 7-colored circle was really a sword soul fragment. No matter what, he had to go and take a look. The sword soul fragment was too important to him. Wishing Crocodile nodded and said, "Let's go." At that moment, one person and 2 beasts walked out of the cave and followed the records on the sheepskin map. After about 3 days, they came to a relatively deep valley. Looking from the outside, the space in the valley seemed to be very large, and there were wisps of gray and black fog lingering in it. It looked like a piece of underworld. Outside the valley, there was a stone tablet full of cracks on the edge. The stone tablet was about 5 inches high, and there were 4 ancient words imprinted on it. Ghost Death Valley. "It doesn't sound like a good place," Wishing Crocodile said. "It doesn't look like one." Lin Tian looked into the valley and said. Then, he did not stay in this place. He called Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu and stepped directly into the valley. Now that their cultivation had reached the peak of the Eternal Realm, and the 5 elements Crocodile and Little Tai Chu each had an Ascension Divine pill that could increase their battle prowess by 10 times. It could be said that they were bold because of their skills, and they had all kinds of strong means. Therefore, although they could see that this place was not a friendly place, they were not afraid at all. Chapter 1508. Lin Tianyi and the others stepped into the Ghost Death Valley. Looking around, wisps of grayish-black fog floated in the valley, and the air seemed a little cold. At the same time, the soil in the valley was blood-red, as if it had been soaked in blood. "This valley is really big," Wishing Crocodile said. Lin Tian nodded. After entering the valley, he glanced around briefly and found that the area of the valley was indeed astonishingly large. Even with his current cultivation at the peak of the Eternal Realm, he could not see the border of the valley. "Let's go to the central area," he said. The sheepskin map showed the Ghost Death Valley, and the location of the small colorful circle, which might be the sword soul fragment, was located in the center of the valley. He called out to Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu and walked toward the center of the valley. In the valley, the soil was blood-red, and there were potholes everywhere. Moreover, in some potholes, there was a liquid that looked like real blood, emitting a fishy smell. It was very unpleasant. The man and the 2 beasts walked toward the center, and soon they were far away. The valley was very spacious. At this time, the ground in front of them suddenly wriggled, and rotten arms stretched out from the ground. In the blink of an eye, several rotting corpses crawled out from the ground. They growled and directly pounced on Lin Tian and the others. Lin Tian flicked his finger, and several sword rays flew out. Clang! The sword light emitted clanging sounds as it flew through the air, directly chopping several rotting corpses into pieces, all of them exploding into pieces. These rotting corpses were at most comparable to great path cultivators, so naturally, they were easily dealt with. The man and the 2 beasts' expressions did not change as they continued to walk toward the center. After that, they walked for thousands of feet in the blink of an eye. Along the way, they encountered many evil corpses, but they were nothing. They were all eliminated by Lin Tian very easily. At this time, the grayish-black fog in the air increased, and many mountains appeared in front of them. Most of the mountains were black, and there was no vegetation on them. Most of them were blood-red soil and grayish-black stones. "Why is there a mountain moving?" Wishing Crocodile looked ahead and asked suspiciously. As far as the eye could see, there were more than 10 mountains in front of them. They were all roughly several hundred feet tall, and one of them was actually trembling. Lin Tian naturally saw and noticed this scene. A faint light flashed in his eyes as his expression changed. "What mountain?" "That's a corpse beast," he said. Almost as soon as he finished speaking, the moving mountain, that Wishing Crocodile was talking about, shook even more violently, and an extremely thick aura of death spread out. "Roar!" A vicious roar echoed out from within the mountain. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the surrounding mist dispersed. More than half of the 10 or so mountains had been shattered by the roar. The actual appearance of this mountain became clear in an instant. It was a corpse beast that was over 100 meters tall. Its entire body was rotten, and its pupils were shockingly large. It was pitch black in color, as if it had stepped out of the netherworld, and it emitted an oppressive aura of death. It's really a zombie beast. How can it be so big? Wishing Crocodile stared with wide eyes. Because of the lingering mist, it actually thought that this zombie beast was a huge mountain. It's so big. Little Taichu looked at the zombie beast in front of it, and could not help but mutter in a childish voice. The corpse beast that was over 100 meters tall was indeed a little shocking. Roar! In front of them, the zombie beast let out another vicious roar. Its huge eyes looked over and naturally saw Lin Tianyi and the others. It was like a huge mountain, and it directly rushed over. Its size was very shocking, but its movements were not clumsy at all. It was very fast. As it rushed over, the intertwining aura of death around its body became stronger. Wherever it passed, the air was corroded and sizzled. It's comparable to a half-step genuine immortal who has condensed 3 strands of celestial core power. The 5 Elements Crocodile was a little surprised. The strength of this huge and extremely fast zombie beast was truly terrifying. Sizzling sounds could be heard. Wherever the zombie beast passed, the air was corroded. Lin Tian looked at the zombie beast rushing over. His expression was very calm. He faced the huge body of the zombie beast and directly punched it. He only threw a simple punch, but the void in front of him shattered on the spot. Then, in the next moment, his fist landed firmly on the body of the huge zombie beast that was rushing over. Bang! With a muffled sound, the zombie beast was directly sent flying. Large amounts of black blood splattered and fell on the ground, corroding a large part of the surface. Wishing Crocodile rolled its eyes. In any case, it's comparable to a half-step genuine immortal who has condensed 3 strands of celestial core power. You actually sent it flying with a casual punch. This physique. It clicked its tongue and said, as expected of the strongest imperial physique. Roar! The vicious roar sounded again. In the distance, the zombie beast that was sent flying by Lin Tianyi's punch rushed over again. A certain part of its body was severely damaged by Lin Tian's punch just now. Black blood kept flowing out, and the stench was unpleasant. Let's try the strength of a full-strength punch, he muttered to himself. Facing the incoming zombie beast, he leaped more than 1,000 feet high and then landed. He clenched his right fist and punched down with all his strength. Boom! Like a thunderclap, the space was directly blasted through. Then, in the next moment, his fist landed firmly on the zombie beast's head, causing an extremely violent explosion. Pitch-black blood splattered everywhere, and the huge stone beast, which was hundreds of feet tall, trembled violently and was directly smashed into pieces by the fist. F***CKU, damn pervert! Wishing Crocodile cursed. A half-step genuine immortal who had condensed 3 strands of celestial core power was blasted into a cloud of blood mist with just one punch. It seriously suspected that Lin Tian's current physical strength was not inferior to a genuine immortal powerhouse. Yeah. Little Taichu's childish voice sounded. It was obviously shocked by Lin Tian's punch. It was really strong. Lin Tian landed on the ground from the sky. He looked at his right fist and clenched it slightly. A smile appeared on his face. Not bad, he muttered to himself. His cultivation had reached the peak of the eternal realm. His current physical strength was much stronger than when he was at the middle stage of the eternal realm. Crack! Suddenly, a crisp sound rang out from the ground. On the surface of the ground, cracks appeared and spread out like a spider web. Then, in the next moment, the entire surface of this place collapsed, revealing a dark underground world. As this underground world was exposed, an extremely terrifying aura of death rushed up. In the blink of an eye, the sky of this place was dyed black. The scene was extremely frightening. Contrary to this incomparably terrifying aura of death was mixed with extremely vigorous fluctuations of life. It was as if there was a source of life located below. Lin Tian rose into the air the moment before the surface collapsed. Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu also rose to a higher altitude. At this time, They looked at the underground world below and were all shocked. There is an underground world in this place? Wishing Crocodile was shocked. It knew that at this time, the reason why the surface of this place was broken was entirely because of Lin Tian's punch that had just bombarded the zombie beast. That punch not only smashed the stone beast, but also caused the surface of this place to collapse and collapse through the body of the zombie beast. Then, this underground world was revealed. Otherwise, this underground world would not have been exposed. What's the deal with the aura of death below? How can it be so thick? Also, how can there be such a strong aura of life and such a strong aura of death? It looked at the underground world below, its eyes full of shock. Lin Tian was also surprised. Then, in the next moment, his expression changed again. Something is coming out! Chapter 1509. Hearing Lin Tian's words, Wishing Crocodile was a little suspicious. What's going to rush out? Could there be... Whoosh! 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 The sound of something breaking through the air interrupted Wishing Crocodile's words. In the next moment, dense tentacles rushed out from the ground. Each tentacle was at least 10 feet thick, covered in disgusting mucus, and emitting a strong stench. What's this? Wishing Crocodile was shocked. The dense tentacles rushed out at an extremely fast speed, as if they could sense the existence of the human and the two beasts. They directly swept towards them at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu were all wrapped up in 3 tentacles. Then, they dragged the human and the two beasts directly into the underground world. The whole process was so fast that even Lin Tian, who had sensed something rushing out, did not have time to react. Moreover, the strength and toughness of these tentacles were so amazing that the human and the two beasts could not break free in a short time. In the blink of an eye, they were dragged into the underground world. The entire underground world was dark. They saw the body of the tentacles that had wrapped them up. It was also a zombie beast, like an octopus. It was bigger than the previous zombie beast, and its aura was more terrifying. It's comparable to a half-step true immortal who has condensed 8 strands of celestial core power. Wishing Crocodile was shocked. Lin Tian was also surprised that there was such a strong zombie beast in this place. It would be a true immortal if it took another step forward. This octopus-like zombie beast had a frightening number of tentacles. 3 tentacles wrapped around Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu, respectively, and pulled the human and the two beasts closer. Its pupils could not be seen, and only a bloody mouth was opened. An extremely foul smell came from this big mouth, and a little bit of dirty yellow liquid flowed out. Obviously, this was the rhythm of swallowing the human and the two beasts. A glimmer of light flashed in Lin Tian's eyes. With a move of his mind, his tyrannical physique shook violently, intertwining a majestic force, and shaking the tentacles that wrapped around him into pieces. Clang! He swept out 2 golden sword lights and cut off the 2 tentacles that wrapped around Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu. It's comparable to a zombie beast that has condensed 8 strands of celestial core power. Lord Crocodile can't break free in a short time, Wishing Crocodile said. After reaching Eternal Peak, Crocodile's 9 strands of celestial core power to condense each strand of celestial core power. Condensed celestial core power is cultivation, and its body two's, the most SSS. Lin. Lord Crocodile's crocodile. To Lin to Crocodile. A crocodile as the octopus-like zombie beast had a lot of tentacles. At this time, the dense tentacles swept toward the human and the two beasts. For a time, the void in this place was penetrated by these tentacles. Kid, deal with it, Wishing Crocodile said. Lin Tian nodded. The towering heaven sword scripture surged. He waved his hand and slashed out a dense sword light, cutting off all the tentacles. Immediately, he appeared on top of the zombie beast's head and directly pressed down with a heavy punch. In a shrill scream, the zombie beast was blasted into pieces. Wishing Crocodile rolled his eyes. The zombie beast that is comparable to condensing 8 strands of celestial core power was actually smashed into pieces by such a punch. It's said that the zombie beast can be comparable to a cultivator who has condensed 8 strands of celestial core power. In fact, its combat power is far inferior to a human cultivator who has condensed 8 strands of celestial core power. Its physique is stronger than a human cultivator of the same level. In terms of physique, I can firmly crush it, so it's not a big deal, Lin Tian said. Although that's the case, it's still very abnormal, Wishing Crocodile said, and then said, "Look at this underground world." Lin Tian nodded. At this moment, they were standing in midair and looking down. Only now did they notice that this underground world was in existence that was similar to a dark gorge, and the octopus-shaped corpse beast from before was in a small river beneath this dark gorge. The river water was completely yellow as if it was formed from the convergence of corpse water, and it emitted a dense aura of death. This water seems to be gathered from above. It really looks like corpse water. The 5 elements crocodile trembled for a moment, and looked towards the upper reaches of the small river. A glimmer of light flashed across its demon eyes. That very dense aura of life seems to be coming from there as well. Lin Tian nodded. He naturally felt this too. The aura of life coming from the upper reaches was very shocking and extremely strong. Such a strong aura of life, it's definitely some kind of amazing treasure. Wishing Crocodile looked at the upper reaches of the river, then tilted his head and asked Lin Tian Now, should we go back to the 7-colored circle marked on the sheepskin map, or go upstream? Let's go upstream and take a look. Lin Tian If the 7-colored circle marked on the sheepskin map was really the sword soul fragment, then he was not in a hurry, because only the body divine sword that controlled the sword soul fragment could obtain the sword soul fragment. He was not worried that the sword soul fragment would be taken away by others. And this place had such a strong aura of life, it was indeed something extremely extraordinary. Therefore, after a comprehensive comparison, he wanted to go upstream to take a look and obtain the treasure that was emitting such a strong aura of life. Moreover, he took a look. The upper reaches of this underground river just happened to be in the direction of the center of the Ghost Death Valley. From this place to the upper reaches of the underground river, he was actually heading towards the center of the Ghost Death Valley. It was just that later, he would need to break the layer of soil above his head and walk up from this underground world. Immediately, he called out to Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu and walked towards the upper reaches of this underground world's river. The water of the underground river was yellow. As the 3 of them went upstream, the aura of death became even stronger. Then, not long after, they gradually saw corpses floating in the river, floating down from the upper reaches. Moreover, there was more than one corpse. The 3 of them were not surprised by this. After all, in this underground world where there was such a strong aura of death, it was very normal to have a few corpses. They did not stop. Following the extremely shocking aura of life, they continued to swim upstream. Very quickly, more than a quarter of an hour had passed. They had walked very far away, and the aura of death in front of them became even stronger. The aura of life also became stronger. Then, when they turned around a 90-degree corner, the scene in front of them caused their expressions to change. As far as the eye could see, they had walked to the end of the river. In front of them was an underground plain. On the surface, there were densely packed corpses scattered everywhere. The stench was very strong. Yellow liquid continuously flowed out and gathered in the river. This place. There are so many corpses? Could it be that this place was once a huge battlefield? Wishing Crocodile was shocked. Previously, when they were walking towards this place, they saw some corpses on the surface of the river. However, there were not many corpses, so they were not surprised. However, at this time, the number of corpses in front of them was so large that it was a little frightening. They could not help but be shocked. As it said this, it looked at the river along the way. Its monster body could not help but tremble slightly. This underground river is really formed by corpse water. In front of them, the yellow liquid flowing out from the densely packed corpses was clearly corpse water. The corpse water continuously flowed into the river. Obviously, the river was formed by the corpse water continuously flowing into the same place. Not only it, but even Lin Tian was shocked. Since he started cultivating, he had been to many places of death like this place, and seen many corpses. However, with so many corpses piled up together, he had never seen such a large number of corpses piled up together, except for the large crack on Earth's Mount Tai. Moreover, although there were many corpses in the large crack on Earth's Mount Tai, they had all turned into white bones. However, most of the corpses here still had flesh and blood. Of course, most of the flesh and blood were rotten. However, because of this, the scene was even more terrifying. Whoosh! Wind intertwined in this place. Wisps of black fog rolled over and over, causing people's scalps to go numb involuntarily. The man and the two beasts looked at the scene in front of them, and were all shocked. However, in the next moment, their expressions changed again. That's... Whooshing Crocodile's pupils shrank. Looking further ahead into the plains that were densely packed with corpses, there were many blood-colored souls' shadows walking. Their bodies were surrounded by an extremely shocking amount of energy, as if they were the wandering spirits of the dead from hell. It was very horrifying. These were not simple souls, but spirits. However, although they were called spirits, they were not simple spirits. The energy surrounding them was too dense. It was much more terrifying than many Emperor-level demons. They're all walking deeper into the underground plane. What's there? Lin Tian's eyes shone with a faint light. In this place, all the spirits were walking deeper into the underground plane. Their movements were mechanical and slow, like zombies. He looked in that direction, and the faint light in his eyes gradually became denser. This was because the extremely shocking aura of life that they had sensed was also coming from that direction. Moreover, the aura of death in that place was even denser. Let's go and have a look, he called out to Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu. The number of spirits in this place was very shocking, and each of them was very terrifying. However, with the cultivation of the man and the two beasts, they naturally did not care about these spirits. Following the spirits, they walked deeper into the underground plane. Soon, they walked for more than 10,000 feet, and the number of corpses they saw along the way increased. Then, after a few dozen breaths, the number of spirits in front of them increased. They were all densely packed around a huge ancient tree. The branches of the ancient tree were green, and the leaves were pure white. It was thousands of feet tall, exuding an extremely rich aura of life. It seemed to be surrounded by an ocean of life. This is the Tree of Life? Wishing Crocodile's eyes widened. How can it grow so tall? Lin Tian was also surprised. The Tree of Life was born from the condensation of life essence. Cultivating under it would yield twice the result with half the effort. There were many benefits. He once found a Tree of Life in the first heaven, but at that time, it was only about half a meter tall. However, the one in front of him was thousands of meters tall. Moreover, the life aura it exuded was far superior to that of the Tree of Life he found in the first heaven. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. Chapter 15:10. The Tree of Life, which was hundreds of feet tall, was really amazing. Its life aura was too strong and appalling. How is this an ordinary Tree of Life? It's simply an immortal Tree of Life, a Tree of Life. Wishing Crocodile's eyes lit up, and he seemed a little excited. It just so happens that we've reached the peak of the eternal realm. If we cultivate under this Tree of Life, we'll definitely be able to comprehend the immortal Tao very quickly. At least, we'll condense a strand of immortal core power, and then directly step into the half-step true immortal realm. The Tree of Life in front of them was really amazing. It was far beyond the scope of ordinary trees of life. It could be called a divine treasure. When a cultivator cultivated under an ordinary Tree of Life, 1 day's work could be equivalent to 10 days' work. But now, under such a super Tree of Life, 1 day's work could be equivalent to 1 year's work. Kid, hurry up, go over there, it urged Lin Tian. Lin Tian nodded. In fact, he was also very surprised to see such a super Tree of Life. He knew how valuable the super Tree of Life was. At that moment, he did not stop. Together with Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu, they all stepped toward the super tree of life in front of them. In front of them, there were many terrifying Yin spirits. Previously, because Lin Tian and the others simply followed behind without any other actions, the Yin spirits did not sense the existence of Lin Tian and the others. At this time, Lin Tian and the others stepped toward the tree of life without any hesitation. They were immediately discovered by many Yin spirits, and many of them roared. The fiendish aura and death aura surrounding these Yin spirits were extremely frightening. They were even scarier than some emperor-rank demons. Most importantly, there were a lot of them. In an instant, as the large number of Yin spirits roared, the temperature of this underground space, which was already extremely cold, suddenly plummeted. There was even a gust of cold wind that swept up. They did not have any intelligence or consciousness. At this moment, they gathered beside the tree of life as if they were guarding some kind of treasure. As Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and little Taichu approached the tree of life, they all became extremely ferocious. Lin Tianyi and the rest were not surprised that these Yin spirits, who were clearly dead and evil, had actually gathered around the tree of life, which was formed from life aura. This was because, to these Yin spirits, if they could obtain enough life aura, they could perhaps be reborn. At that time, it would be equivalent to obtaining a new life, allowing them to reach a higher level. Therefore, even if these Yin spirits didn't have any intelligence or consciousness, they still instinctively gathered around the tree of life, feeling that this tree of life was very useful to them. Roar! Numerous Yin spirits roared at Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and little Taichu. Death Qi and baleful Qi intertwined together. Many Yin spirits even pounced towards them, their appearances somewhat sinister and terrifying. Lin Tian took a step forward. Without any other action, silver electric arcs naturally appeared around his body, and the thunder force bloomed. Qi! 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 A series of soft sounds were heard. The Yin spirits that pounced on him were all shattered by the thunder force that he emitted, without exception. This thunder force was the power of the 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique. It was very domineering in itself, and it had a great restraining effect on Yin spirits. Even a true immortal-level evil spirit could only fear and retreat when faced with Lin Tian's 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique. Therefore, how could the Yin spirits in this place withstand this thunder force? However, although the Yin spirits that pounced on him were all shattered by the thunder force, the other Yin spirits in this place were not afraid at all. All of them roared and pounced fearlessly towards Lin Tianyi and the rest who were approaching the tree of life. Roar! The group of Yin spirits roared and pounced towards Lin Tianyi and the rest. This was not only to prevent Lin Tian and the rest from getting close to the tree of life, but also because Lin Tian and the rest were living creatures. Their bodies emitted the aura of life. This kind of aura of life was naturally attractive to the Yin spirits. Lin Tian's pace did not change at all. He did not care about the Yin spirits that pounced on him at all. He calmly moved forward. Outside his body, silver electric arcs circled around him. With him as the center, the powerful 5 heaven-shaking lightning technique's power intertwined within a few feet radius. Any Yin spirit that came within a few feet radius of him was turned into ashes. However, the Yin spirits in this place were still charging forward fearlessly. One after another, they were shattered by the thunder force outside Lin Tian's body. Just like that, for a moment, the sound of the thunder force's destruction echoed continuously. Lin Tian's footsteps were still the same, and he was not hindered at all. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the super tree of life. When he came close to the tree of life, he really felt the surging aura of life. It was too rich. Moreover, when he looked up, the pure white tree of life that was hundreds of feet tall looked pure and beautiful like a work of art. This kind of vitality is simply. Wishing Crocodile's eyes were full of excitement. Feeling the aura of this tree of life at close range, he was excited and shocked. Even little Alpha Primordium's big, watery eyes were blinking, and he seemed to be surprised as well. Roar! On the periphery, many Yin spirits saw Lin Tian and the rest approaching the tree of life. They all roared and looked extremely ferocious. Speaking of which, Grandpa Crocodile had some doubts before. Wishing Crocodile tilted his head and looked at the dense Ean spirits in the periphery strangely. These Ean spirits were standing more than 7 feet away from the Tree of Life. They are obviously eager for this Tree of Life, but why didn't any of them come close to the Tree of Life? Why are they just watching from more than 7 feet away? It's very simple. Although they are eager for the Tree of Life and can regenerate their flesh and blood after getting enough vitality from the Tree of Life, sometimes things go in the opposite direction. The aura of life surrounding the Tree of Life here is too rich. It's not something they can bear. Once they get close, they will be crushed. For example, an appropriate amount of fire can make the water boil, but an excessive amount of fire will directly evaporate the water. Lin Tian spoke and continued. These Ean spirits are essentially undead. They are very sensitive to vitality. It is precisely because of this sensitivity to vitality that they instinctively know that they will be destroyed if they get close to this Tree of Life. So, although they are eager for the Tree of Life, they can only surround the Tree of Life. Wishing Crocodile suddenly realized. Well, what you said seems to make sense. What seems to make sense? That's the case. Lin Tian glanced at it. As his words fell, he looked at the Tree of Life in front of him again, and took another step closer to the trunk of the Tree of Life. But when he took this step, his body suddenly trembled slightly. He suddenly turned his head and looked towards the east of the Tree of Life. In that direction, hundreds of feet away, there was a black hole on the surface of the ground. It was about 10 feet in diameter. On the surface, there was nothing special about it. But looking at this black hole, at this moment, he, who was at the peak of the eternal realm, felt that his spirit was about to shatter. This made a chill run down his spine. Wishing Crocodile naturally saw his strange expression and followed his gaze. What's wrong? Is it looking? As it spoke, it also saw the black hole. Its monster body trembled immediately, and its scales stood up. Like Lin Tian, its spirit trembled violently, as if it was about to explode in the next moment. Next to it, little Taichu looked at the black hole and could not help but shudder. Obviously, it had the same feeling as Lin Tian and Wishing Crocodile. That black hole. What's going on? It's obviously very ordinary, but why does it feel so terrifying? Wishing Crocodile trembled. Just by looking at the black hole from this place, it felt as if its spirit was about to shatter. This was really a little scary. Lin Tian looked in that direction. The dragon patterns under his feet intertwined and spread deeper into the ground. Soon after, his expression changed slightly. This place should have been a huge battlefield in the past. Many cultivators died here, and after that, most of the life force in the corpses gathered at one point and turned into the Tree of Life. After the corpses were left there for a long time, they gradually gave off the aura of death. Due to some special reason, most of the aura of death also gathered at one point, and that point is under that black hole. Lin Tian Andao. Wishing Crocodile's eyes moved. You mean that most of the death chi of the countless corpses in this place has gathered in that black hole? Yes. Lin Tian nodded. Wishing Crocodile immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. There were so many corpses in this place, at least 1 million of them. Most of the death chi produced by so many corpses had gathered in that black hole. So, how terrifying was the death chi gathered in that black hole? If a peak true immortal was thrown in, he would instantly turn into pus and blood. This is... It shuddered again. In front of it was a super tree of life with extremely rich life chi and endless benefits. However, not far away was a terrifying black hole full of death chi that could easily corrode even a peak true immortal. It was very contradictory. Lin Tian looked at the black hole from afar with shock in his eyes. However, this shock quickly disappeared. Don't worry about it. Although it's very scary, as long as you don't disturb it, the huge amount of death chi inside will not rush out. Lin Tian Andao. Are you sure? Wishing Crocodile asked. There was such a terrifying black hole dozens of feet away. It was fine if it didn't know about it. Now that it knew and saw it, it was naturally very concerned. At such a close distance, if the black hole suddenly changed and the terrifying death chi rushed out, it, Lin Tian, and the little Taichu would be in a lot of trouble. It would be very difficult to save their lives. I'm sure. Lin Tian Andao. In this place, the super tree of life in front of it was regarded as the Yan point, and the black hole that gathered a huge amount of death chi was regarded as the Yin point. In fact, they had already formed an extraordinary geographical pattern. Since he controlled the dragon burial scripture, he was naturally very clear about the situation of the death chi in the black hole. He knew that it would not erupt at will. Chapter 15:11. Lin Tian looked at the black hole and glanced at it one last time. He then called the wishing crocodile and the little Taichu to come to the tree of life. As long as the black hole that was filled with the aura of death was not touched or disturbed, it would not explode. Therefore, there was no need to pay attention to it. He came to the tree of life and raised his hand to draw formation patterns. He set up a dozen killing formations around the tree of life to prevent the Yin spirits from approaching. After all, although the Yin spirits could not get close now, as they cultivated under the tree of life later, the vitality of the tree of life would gradually be consumed. When it was consumed to a certain extent, the Yin spirits would definitely pounce on them. At that time, if they were not prepared in advance, it would definitely have a huge impact on their cultivation and comprehension. Let's begin, he said to the wishing crocodile and the little Taichu. Okay. The wishing crocodile nodded. After receiving Lin Tian's assurance that the black hole of death would not mutate, he was completely relieved and no longer worried about anything. Under the tree of life, his eyes were filled with excitement. He then began to circulate the ancient scripture and began to cultivate. The little Taichu landed on a branch of the huge tree of life and called out to Lin Tian in a childish voice. Then, he began to circulate his unique ancient cultivation method. Speaking of which, the little guy's ancient cultivation method was very unusual. He was born with it. It seemed to be an ancient scripture that was passed down through the bloodline of an ancient clan. It had unparalleled divine power. However, although he had obtained such an ancient scripture from his bloodline, the little guy was not clear about his background at all. There were no clues in his bloodline. I wonder what clan this little guy belongs to. Does he have other clansmen? Where are his birth parents? Do they still exist in this world? Lin Tian looked at the little Taichu and muttered to himself. The little guy was very unusual and very powerful. Both he and the wishing crocodile were very clear about this. In the past, when the little guy was still in the egg, just the aura it emitted was enough to make some nirvana ghost saints fear. The moment it came out of the egg, it immediately had the cultivation of an emperor. It could be said to be heaven-defying. Moreover, the terrifying scene that Tian Xuanzi had drawn when he had divined the little fellow was also very frightening. When he went to the Legacy Saber Pavilion, he saw a hazy figure in the divine sense imprint drawn by the Legacy Saber Pavilion's supreme elder. Like the little fellow, he had the protection of the four spirits. He seemed to be of the same race as the little fellow. That figure was truly terrifying, like a heaven-defying divine emperor. From these incidents, one after another, it was enough to see that the little fellow's origin was extremely shocking and definitely not ordinary. He wondered when he could find the other clansmen of the little one. It would be best if he could find the little one's parents. Of course, that was on the premise that there were other clansmen like the little guy in the world, and that his parents were still alive. He looked at the little fellow and adjusted his breathing. Then, he sat down cross-legged under the tree of life and began to circulate the Sun Heart Sutra. Buzz! As he circulated the Sun Heart Sutra, a faint golden divine light immediately appeared outside his body. He used this ancient sutra to circulate his essence, energy, and spirit to the peak. Then, his spirit shook, and his divine sense spread out, surrounding this space and drawing in strands of the tree of life's power, causing his divine sense to become purer and stronger. His entire body merged with heaven and earth, and he began to explore the existence of the Tao in heaven and earth, as if his soul was wandering in an unknown dimensional space. For a time, the golden divine light outside his body became even denser. Walala! The tree of life swayed, and pure white light intertwined in the sky, bringing with it a shocking aura of life and also a kind of holiness. Outside the tree of life, densely packed yin spirits gathered together, forming a dense circle. At this moment, seeing Lin Tian, wishing crocodile, and little Taichu close to the tree of life, and sensing the majestic vitality of the tree of life entering their bodies, they all let out ferocious roars, which were as ear-piercing as glass rubbing against each other. Lin Tian, wishing crocodile, and little Taichu were not affected in the slightest. This was because Lin Tian's killing formation not only had tyrannical offensive power, but also had a certain degree of isolation power. The roars of these yin spirits were completely isolated by these dozens of killing formations, and could not be transmitted to their ears. Buzz! Divine light intertwined outside the bodies of the man and the two beasts. Their essence, energy, and spirit were strong, and then a faint Tao light emerged. Then, as time passed, their essence, energy, and spirit gradually became stronger, and the Tao light outside their bodies also gradually became stronger. Myriad Domains Imperial Star, outside the Soul Death Valley, at this moment, the cultivation world of the Myriad Domains Imperial Star was in an uproar. Not long ago, the underground world of the Soul Death Valley appeared, and a vast aura of death mixed with a shocking aura of life rushed out, causing the expressions of many powerful cultivators in the cultivation world to change. Such a dense aura of life, it's definitely some kind of amazing treasure of heaven and earth. It must be priceless. The eyes of many cultivators lit up. Many experts had already started to move, rushing towards the Ghost Death Valley. Moreover, some powerful sects were also alarmed, and some powerful existences in their sects rushed towards the Soul Death Valley. The aura of life rushing out from the Soul Death Valley was simply too shocking, like an ocean of life. The aura of life was so dense that it was like an ocean of life, and even true immortal experts would be moved by it. At the center of the Myriad Domains Imperial Star, within the 100,000 Immortal Mountains, Manwei Dynasty, someone reported that the person who killed Yen Zhongwang and the two beasts beside him were seen by chance heading towards the Soul Death Valley. In a hall of this branch, an expert of the Manwei Dynasty reported to the Emperor of the Manwei Dynasty in the hall. The Emperor of the Manwei Dynasty's blood qi was dense, and his Tao power was astonishing. He had already condensed 8 strands of celestial origin energy, and was only half a step away from the true immortal realm. When he heard the report, his eyes immediately flashed with a cold light. At the same time, there were other important figures of this branch in the hall. When they heard the report, their eyes all flashed with killing intent. The true ancestors are preparing to make a trip to the Soul Death Valley to report this matter to the true ancestors. They will suppress that bastard, take back all the star stones, and then execute him. No, they must make him suffer a fate worse than death. One of the important figures gnashed his teeth. A few days ago, a group of Eternal Realm experts came out to search for Lin Tian, who killed Yen Zhongwang, but they all died. Even the 3 true immortals and true ancestors of their branch died when they went to retrieve the 1,000 Illusions sacred orchid. It was a heavy loss for the Manwei Dynasty, and they did not even know who killed the 3 true immortals, true ancestors, and the group of Eternal Realm experts. They could only know the truth of their deaths when their soul lamps of life shattered. Because of this matter, the entire Wanwei Empire had been feeling extremely uncomfortable over the past few days. Each and every one of the big shots had been suppressing the anger in their hearts. When they heard that Lin Tian was the one who had killed Yen Zhongwang and taken away all the star stones, they immediately found a way to vent their anger. They could not wait to find Lin Tian immediately and take the star stones that Lin Tian had taken from Yen Zhongwang. After that, they would use all sorts of cruel methods to torture Lin Tian. In the underground world of the Netherworld Death Valley, the underground world was dim, and the yin qi was very thick. Many yin spirits were screaming, and their voices were very ear-piercing, like glass rubbing against each other. Buzz! Under the super tree of life, Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu were drawing on the majestic vitality of the tree of life to cultivate. The most important thing was to use the power of the super tree of life to comprehend the law of immortal Tao that existed between heaven and earth, and to condense celestial core power, In this place, as long as they could condense a strand of celestial core power, they could all step into the half-step true immortal realm. Lin Tian sat cross-legged under the tree of life, golden divine light intertwined around his body. His powerful divine sense was vast and mighty outside his body, drawing the vitality of the tree of life into his divine sense. His mind wandered between heaven and earth, searching for the immortal Tao between heaven and earth. Using the divine sense to search for Tao was very different from using the divine sense to search for some things. After all, Tao was not an ordinary object. It was very difficult to use the divine sense to search for the Tao between heaven and earth, especially the immortal Tao that was stronger than the great Tao. However, Lin Tian's cultivation was very strong, and with the help of the tree of life in this place, the process of searching for the immortal Tao was very smooth. It didn't take long for him to sense the existence of the immortal Tao. Compared to the great Tao, the immortal Tao was more vast, and the rhythm of the Tao was thicker. There was a difference in levels. At this moment, he found the existence of the immortal Tao one after another. Lin Tianji felt that these immortal Taos were like divine dragons. Although these immortal Taos all intertwined with the ripples of the law of immortal Tao, they were all different. Some immortal Taos were full of sharpness, some were full of dreams, some were full of slaughter, and some were full of coldness. Each immortal Tao was very shocking. Immortal Tao of fire, immortal Tao of breaking demon, immortal Tao of wood, immortal Tao of earth, immortal Tao of wind slashing. The immortal Taos coiled around the divine lakeside. Lin Tian could clearly identify what immortal Tao each immortal Tao was. He released his powerful divine will and borrowed the power of the tree of life to explore the immortal Tao of heaven and earth on a deeper level. He then discovered that the immortal Tao of dreams and the immortal Tao of thorns of the two itinerant cultivators who had fought for the 1,000 illusion divine orchid were very extraordinary. He scanned these immortal Taos with his divine will and didn't immediately integrate his divine will into one immortal Tao to comprehend. Instead, he continued to explore and search for other immortal Taos. Immortal Tao of decay, immortal Tao of sword, immortal Tao of astral saber, immortal Tao of ice, immortal Tao of amplification. His divine will was unusually strong. With the power of the tree of life, he gradually discovered more immortal Taos, all of them rich in Tao. Then, 15 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. After scanning the immortal Taos, he sensed the shocking power of thunder. Immortal Tao of thunder! His heart trembled. The immortal Tao of thunder was a part of the divine Tao of thunder. It was young and tough, focused on killing, and was fierce and domineering. At this time, he found the immortal Tao of thunder. He paused for a moment, and decided that this would be the immortal Tao after the immortal realm. Chapter 15:12. After deciding that the immortal Tao to enter the immortal realm was the thunder immortal Tao, Lin Tian no longer hesitated. He immediately circulated the Heart Sutra of Sun even faster. Then, he merged his divine sense into the thunder immortal Tao, wholeheartedly comprehending and using his heart to understand the power of the thunder immortal Tao. Suddenly, he felt that his mind had entered a vast sea of thunder, and his divine sense felt waves of stabbing pain. However, the stabbing pain did not last for too long. As he merged with his divine sense even more attentively, the stabbing pain disappeared in just a few breaths. His divine sense merged with the thunder immortal Tao even more smoothly and was surrounded by endless thunder Tao. The reason why he could merge his divine sense into the thunder immortal Tao so quickly was because he had experienced more than a dozen heavenly tribulations and mastered the 5 heavenly thunders techniques since he started cultivating. He had a great adaptability to the power of thunder. Thunder, the power of nature, the most young and tough, domineering and fierce, he muttered to himself. After his divine sense merged with the thunder immortal Tao, he began to wholeheartedly comprehend and experience the power of the thunder immortal Tao. For a moment, he felt that he had entered a world of thunder, as if everything in the world was about to be shattered. In fact, his real body was still sitting cross-legged under the tree of life. Thus, he calmly comprehended the thunder immortal Tao. because of the heavenly tribulations and his mastery of the 5 heavenly thunders technique, coupled with the super tree of life in this place, the process was unusually fast. It did not take long for him to feel that he had a certain level of understanding of the thunder immortal Tao and could condense celestial core power. His divine sense merged with the thunder immortal Tao. At this time, he began to guide the origin Tao seal of the thunder immortal Tao closer to his body. He wanted to leave a seal of the thunder immortal Tao on his body so that he could condense the first thunder celestial core power. This was considered a preliminary understanding of the thunder immortal Tao. After that, he would have to comprehend it at a deeper level. Every time he comprehended it to a certain extent, he could condense a thunder celestial core power. At least 9 thunder celestial cores would fuse with each other. At this time, it was equivalent to completely controlling the thunder immortal Tao. In this way, he could step into the true immortal realm. He guided a wisp of the thunder immortal Tao seal of the thunder immortal Tao. The origin Tao seal of the thunder immortal Tao was invisible, and it quickly came into his body. He began to brand the thunder immortal Tao seal of the immortal Tao of the thunder immortal Tao seal of the thunder immortal Tao. Buzz! Suddenly, Tao light surged within his body, turning into ripples that spread out from the center of his body. The thunder origin Tao seal that he had drawn into his body was directly forced out. This caused his body to tremble. At this moment, the nameless law of the way in his body moved on its own as if it had its own consciousness. It tried its best to repel the thunderbolt seal that he had drawn into his body. He frowned and suddenly remembered something. When he had comprehended the nameless way law, he had obtained the source of the way that could temper his own way law. At that time, he had wanted to refine the source of the way, but he had been rejected by the nameless way law in his body. Later, he had stepped into the Nirvana realm. He should have been able to control more great ways like other Nirvana realm cultivators, but in fact, he could not. The nameless way law in his body strongly rejected other great ways, and other great ways could not be integrated into his body at all. This made it so that when he reached the peak of the eternal realm, the only way he could control was the nameless way law. Other eternal realm experts of the same realm had mastered at least a dozen great ways. Before he had comprehended the immortal way, he had not thought about these problems. It was only now that he had drawn a wisp of the thunder immortal way's origin Tao seal into his body, and was rejected that he suddenly thought of this problem. Let's try again. He paused and muttered to himself. The Sun Heart Sutra circulated again. After a while, he once again drew a wisp of the thunder immortal way's origin Tao seal into his body, preparing to integrate it into his flesh and spirit body to condense his first immortal core power. This time, the result was the same. The nameless way law in his body vibrated on its own, and Tao light rippled out like water ripples, directly shaking out the wisp of the thunder immortal way's origin Tao seal that he had drawn into his body. He gritted his teeth and once again drew in a wisp of the thunder immortal way's origin Tao seal. Then the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th time, but the result was the same. All 10 times, it ended in failure. The nameless way law in his body uncontrollably rejected the thunder immortal way's origin Tao seal that he had drawn into his body. F***ck. He could not help but curse. He knew that the nameless way law in his body was very powerful, but no matter how powerful it was, it could not reject the immortal Tao like this. If it continued to reject it, how was he going to condense immortal core power? If he could not condense immortal core power, how was he going to advance from the eternal realm to the perfected immortal realm? Last time! He clenched his fists and drew the thunder immortal way's origin Tao seal into his body for the 11th time. Buzz! The nameless way law in his body surged on its own, and wisps of Tao light spread out, once again forcefully shaking out the wisp of the thunder immortal way's origin Tao seal that he had drawn into his body. It could not integrate into his flesh and spirit body. This is simply. He opened his eyes and was speechless. He had tried to draw the thunder immortal way's origin Tao seal into his body 11 times in a row, but it was all forced out by the nameless way law. This was completely rejecting other Taos from entering his body. How was he going to advance to the perfected immortal realm? What kind of Tao is this? He gritted his teeth. He sat cross-legged under the tree of life. At this moment, the divine light outside his body gradually withdrew, and he stopped cultivating and comprehending the Tao. This was because he was already very clear that there would be no point in continuing. He tilted his head and looked at the wishing crocodile and the little Taichu. The Tao power in their bodies was becoming stronger, and the speed was very fast. He could vaguely feel that there was a very shocking immortal Tao existence outside their bodies. In this way, he believed that with a little more time, the wishing crocodile and the little Taichu would be able to smoothly comprehend a trace of the immortal Tao with the help of the super tree of life here, condense a strand of immortal core power, and then step into the half-step perfected immortal realm. What should I do next? He muttered to himself. In order to step into the perfected immortal realm, he had to condense 9 strands of immortal core power. Even if he used special treasures to help, it would only help him quickly comprehend the immortal Tao and condense immortal core power. For his situation, it was completely useless. This was because it was not that he could not comprehend the immortal Tao, but that the nameless Wei law in his body was rejecting the immortal Tao. He sat cross-legged under the tree of life and began to think about how to solve this problem. Whoosh! 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 Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air was heard from afar. A faint light flashed in Lin Tian's eyes as he looked in the direction of the sound of something breaking through the air. Then, in the next moment, the figures of cultivators appeared. They walked along the path that he, the wishing crocodile, and the little Taichu had walked to this place. Their spirits were extraordinary. This caused him to frown slightly. However, he was not too surprised by this scene. When the underground world was exposed, a very strong life aura rushed out. He could imagine that the vast life aura that rushed out at that time must have alerted many cultivators on the myriad domains imperial planet and led them to this place. Roar! Other than Lin Tian and the Tree of Life, the densely packed spirits, numbering more than 100,000, also sensed that there were cultivators rushing to this place. They immediately let out a roar, each with a ferocious expression. The cultivators who came to this place were shocked. Clearly, they did not expect there to be so many spirits here. Then, in the next moment, these cultivators' expressions changed again when they saw the super tree of life in front of them. After all, the super tree of life in this place was hundreds of meters tall, and was too eye-catching. This is a tree of life? How can it be so tall? That astonishing life aura was emitted by this tree of life? This is a super treasure! The cultivators were shocked. An ordinary tree of life was only around half a zhang tall. However, this tree of life was several hundred zhang tall. It was simply the king of all trees of life. All the cultivators who came here could see the value of this tree of life with just a glance. Even true immortals would be shocked by this. Looking at this super tree of life, these cultivators were stunned. Then, in the next moment, they were shocked again because they saw that there was someone under the tree of life. And he looked very familiar. That is the person wanted by the Manwei dynasty, the person who killed Yan Zhongwang. He's actually here. He actually found this super tree of life first. The 2 demonic beasts that were with him are also there. They are cultivating with the power of the tree of life. These cultivators were shocked, and many of their eyes flickered. They came here because of the vast life aura that rushed out earlier. Now that they found the source of the vast life aura and found a super tree of life, they were very surprised. Even if they only got a branch from this super tree of life, it was still a precious treasure. Many cultivators were ready to fight with the spirits, but they found that Lin Tian, who was wanted by the Manwei dynasty, was actually at the location of the tree of life. He had found this place, and this tree of life first. Immediately, all the cultivators stopped in their tracks. None of them dashed forward. These people knew how terrifying Lin Tian was. They heard that Lin Tian had a complete corpse of a true immortal expert. No one below the true immortal realm could resist him. Now, Lin Tian had found this place first and found the super tree of life in this place. Moreover, he was sitting beside the tree of life. So, who would dare to fight for it? Among them, the most powerful one was only at the half-step eternal realm. Lin Tian looked at these cultivators and did not respond. He still sat under the tree of life. These cultivators did not come forward to fight for the tree of life, and he was not worried that they would come forward to fight for it. Because the strength of these cultivators could not even resist the killing formation he had engraved on the periphery. Boom! Chapter 15:13. The aura of true immortals was vast and mighty, extremely powerful. In just the blink of an eye, 3 figures rushed over from the distance. They were 3 elders, all of them extremely powerful essence, like 3 furnaces, but also like 3 abysses, giving off a terrifying feeling. Lin Tian looked at the 3 men and narrowed his eyes slightly. True immortals, the 3 true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty. He muttered to himself. The 3 men had a very similar aura to Yan Zhongwang, and even more so to the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty he had killed before. They cultivated the same ancient scriptures, so he did not need to think too much to know their identities. In front of him, the cultivators who had rushed to this place at the beginning also turned pale when they saw the 3 old men. They, the 4th, 5th, and 6th true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty. 3 true immortals! The cultivators were shocked. The 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty had rushed here. Then, many people trembled and could not help but turn to look at Lin Tian under the tree of life. The Manwei dynasty had put Lin Tian on the wanted list. Now, the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty had appeared here, and Lin Tian, who was wanted by the Manwei dynasty, was also here. These cultivators all thought that Lin Tian was in danger. At the same time, beside the tree of life, Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu sensed the fluctuations of the true immortal's aura. They could not help but tremble and open their eyes. Then, they saw the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty and were shocked. The 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty? Like Lin Tianyi, they could also sense that the 3 old men had the same aura as the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty that Lin Tian had killed before. They immediately guessed their identities. Up ahead, 3 true immortals from the Manwei dynasty walked past. The cultivators who had come to this place at the beginning all made way for them. After all, these 3 were experts from the Manwei dynasty, and all of them were true immortals. The 3 of them walked forward and saw many Yin spirits at first glance. They saw the super tree of life and then saw Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu next to the super tree of life. It really is here! One of the 3 true immortal level elders looked at Lin Tian coldly. He was the 4th true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty. Before they came here, they received a report from the experts in the dynasty that Lin Tianyi's group was also heading in this direction. Unexpectedly, they really saw Lin Tianyi's group at this place. Their gazes were cold as they looked at the tree of life, Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu. They walked forward step by step. Roar! Outside the tree of life, many Yin spirits roared. When they saw the 3 of them approaching the tree of life, just like when they saw Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu approaching the tree of life, they all roared and pounced toward the 3 of them with ferocious expressions. However, this was like a moth flying into a flame. All the Yin spirits that pounced on them were all crushed without exception. Beside the tree of life, Wishing Crocodile saw this scene and frowned slightly. The 3 true immortals and true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty appeared in this place. After this, it did not have any doubts. These 3 would definitely kill them. It did not even need to think to know. At this juncture, we were forced to come here by these 3 true immortals. As it spoke, it looked at Lin Tian and asked, Kid, how much power of faith do you have left in your immortal Emperor Pagoda? With your current cultivation, relying on the rich power of faith and in Transcendence Elixir, you should be able to defeat a true immortal even if you don't self-destruct your true immortal artifact, right? It and Little Taichu both had in Transcendence Elixir, but after seeing the battle between Lin Tian and a true immortal, they knew that even if they had reached the eternal peak, they could not defeat a true immortal even if they relied on the Transcendence Elixir to increase their battle strength by 10 times. There was still a big gap between the immortal peak and the true immortal realm. Under such circumstances, they still had to rely on Lin Tian's power of faith to defeat a true immortal. With my current cultivation, combined with enough power of faith and in Transcendence Elixir, I can kill the 3 of them without relying on the self-destruction of my true immortal artifact. However, I have almost used up all the power of faith before. Now, there is not much power of faith left in the pagoda for the time being. I can't use the Transcendence Elixir to increase my battle strength. Lin Tian now. Hearing his words, Wishing Crocodile immediately tensed up. It can't be, right? It looked at Lin Tian and asked again. Then, without enough power of faith, with your strong physique and current cultivation, can you block 3 true immortals with only 1 Transcendence Elixir? I can block 1 true immortal, but it's difficult to block 3. Because these 3 are about to reach the middle stage of true immortal. They are many times stronger than the 5 true immortals we met before. Lin Tian now. At the later stages of cultivation, the difference in battle strength between the major realms was too great. When he was at the middle stage of eternal immortal, he relied on the Transcendence Elixir, a huge amount of power of faith, and the self-destruction of a true immortal artifact to kill 5 early-stage true immortals. Now, his cultivation had reached the eternal peak, but he did not have enough power of faith. It was really difficult to block 3 powerful existences who were about to reach the middle stage of true immortal with only 1 Transcendence Elixir. Isn't that the end? Wishing Crocodile stared. No. Lin Tian looked very calm. Maybe it's over in other places, but here, there's no need to worry. Huh! Wishing Crocodile was stunned when it heard this. Do you have any other means? On a branch of the Tree of Life, little Taichu also looked at Lin Tian curiously. Something like that. Lin Tiantan smiled. It was also at this time that the roars of the nether spirits in front of them weakened. The 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty stepped forward and slaughtered more than half of the nether spirits in this place in the blink of an eye. The aura of true immortals was turbulent, causing the void to become turbulent. In the blink of an eye, the 3 of them came to about 6 feet away from the Tree of Life. Buzz! The space trembled, and the array patterns lit up one after another, emitting a shocking killing intent. Endless killing light filled the air. These were the dozens of killing arrays that Lin Tian had engraved before he started cultivating. They were to prevent the nether spirits in this place from rushing in and disturbing their cultivation. At this time, the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty approached and touched the dozens of killing arrays engraved by Lin Tian, directly causing the dozens of killing arrays to explode, and the killing light pressed down together. There are killing arrays? This seems to be an eternal level killing array. Many cultivators' expressions changed. Someone looked at Lin Tian. These killing arrays were engraved by him? He's in the eternal state? He looks so young, and he's not an antique living fossil, but he's already reached the eternal state. Everyone was shocked. Boom! The dozens of killing arrays were boiling, and the killing light filled the sky. Each killing light was fierce and terrifying, as if it could cut through everything. All the killing light pressed down on the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty. The 3 old men snorted. One of them directly slapped out and instantly shattered the killing light that filled the sky. Then, a wave of true immortal chi rushed out of his body and directly shattered the dozens of killing arrays engraved by Lin Tian. The eternal level killing arrays were destroyed in an instant. So strong! The true immortals are simply. Many cultivators were shocked again. These people could feel the horror of the dozens of killing arrays just now. No one was confident that they could withstand it. As long as they were enveloped by it, they would be blasted into nothingness. But now, the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty wiped out the dozens of killing arrays so easily. Their divine power was really terrifying and awe-inspiring. However, the shock of these cultivators only lasted for a moment. After all, as a matter of fact, it was easy for a true immortal expert to destroy the killing arrays engraved by an eternal state cultivator. The three true immortals of Wanwei Dynasty stepped forward, looking at the super tree of life. Their eyes shone with a strange light. Obviously, this super tree of life was very amazing. For experts of their level, it could be said to be a treasure. Although it couldn't directly increase their cultivation base, it could help them condense their immortal Tao to a more powerful state. Humph! Among the three, the sixth true ancestor snorted. His eyes fell on Lin Tian, and he directly raised his hand to grab Lin Tian. For a moment, the void shook violently with a rumbling sound, as if it would completely collapse in the next moment. This was just a simple physical strength without the slightest trace of divine power, but its power was somewhat frightening. That's terrifying! That man and his two little friends are finished! Even the corpse of a true immortal can't withstand it! Nonsense! Not to mention whether he can use the corpse of a true immortal, he doesn't even have the chance to take it out now! Many cultivators shook their heads. Everyone thought that Lin Tianyi and his companions would definitely die if a real true immortal expert attacked. Why did he have to provoke the Manwei dynasty? Someone sighed. With a rumbling sound, the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty reached out his hand and arrived above Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. I won't kill you immediately. After taking back all the star stones, I'll let you suffer a good deal of torture first, the man said coldly. 3 true immortals and true ancestors had died in a single day. In truth, this man and the other true immortals and true ancestors of this lineage were just like Overlord Myriad Might and the others. They had been suppressing their anger all this time, and they wanted to vent it as well. And the channel to vent their anger was naturally Lin Tian. Even if their cultivation was much stronger than Lin Tian's, they still wanted to torture Lin Tianyi. Or perhaps, even if they didn't torture Lin Tian themselves, they could still relieve some of the anger in their hearts by watching others in the dynasty torture Lin Tian. Lin Tian's expression didn't change at all when he saw the man's big hand pressing down on him. Yan Zhongwang deserved to die. He asked for it. You want to take back the star stones? Impossible. You want to torture me? Don't even think about it. His voice was very calm. Standing on the spot, he directly met the man's big hand pressing down on him with a punch. He actually met the palm of a true immortal expert with pure fist strength. Chapter 15-14. The fact that an Eternal Realm cultivator met the palm of a genuine immortal with his bare hands shocked all the cultivators in the underground world. They thought that Lin Tian's behavior was too stupid. How could he block the palm? Stupid! The genuine immortal of the Manwei dynasty said coldly. His palm continued to press down, causing the void to distort. Lin Tian's expression was calm. This simple punch contained all of his current physical strength as he continued to punch forward. In the blink of an eye, the palm and the fist collided head-on. Bang! With a muffled sound, the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty trembled violently. Then, he was sent flying thousands of feet away like an iron cannonball. He crashed into the small river formed by corpse water. Sixth brother! The fourth and fifth true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty were shocked. The sixth true ancestor of their lineage was also a genuine immortal like them. Now, in a head-on confrontation, he was sent flying by an Eternal Realm cultivator. At the same time, the other cultivators in the area were also shocked. He sent the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty flying with one punch? That's a genuine immortal expert. How is that possible? All the cultivators were shocked. Many people thought that Lin Tian would be suppressed by the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty. Unexpectedly, the result was completely opposite. The sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty failed to suppress Lin Tian. Instead, he was sent flying thousands of feet away by Lin Tianyi's punch. This caused these cultivators to suddenly feel as if they had fallen into an illusion. This was simply too shocking. How can his physical body be so strong? Does he have the barbarian king body? No, even the barbarian king body can't be so strong. Many cultivators were shocked. Beside the tree of life, Wishing Crocodile and little Taichu's eyes lit up. Just the strength of his physical body alone is enough to contend against a true immortal powerhouse. He actually sent a true immortal flying. Although Wishing Crocodile had long guessed that Lin Tian's body was now comparable to that of a true immortal, he still couldn't help but be surprised when he saw Lin Tianyi send the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty flying with his fist. So powerful! Little Taichu made a childish sound and blinked its big eyes. It's nothing. After all, I used all of my physical strength while the other party didn't use all of his physical strength. Lin Tian now. His opponent's palm was also very powerful, but at the very most, he had only used 70% of his physical strength. As for his punch, he had used his full strength. As such, with his current physical strength, it was naturally easy for him to send his opponent flying. Boom! Thousands of feet away, the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty stepped out of the corpse river. He crossed thousands of feet in one step and reappeared outside the Tree of Life. And his whole body was soaked by the corpse water in the corpse river, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He stared at Lin Tian in shock and anger. He was a true immortal expert, but he had been sent flying thousands of feet away by Lin Tian, an eternal realm cultivator. Moreover, he had been sent flying in front of so many cultivators. His face turned ugly, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Facing the man's murderous gaze, Lin Tian's expression didn't change at all. He still stood there motionless. "Stay away, it stinks," he said, looking at the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty with a rather disgusted expression. "It stinks." Wishing Crocodile nodded. "It stinks." Little Taichu nodded at Little Milk Bag and chimed in with a childish voice. Outside, many cultivators saw Lin Tian's disdain for the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty, and saw Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu chiming in. For a moment, they couldn't help but stare. This group of people dared to treat a genuine immortal with such an attitude. However, many cultivators had to admit that the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty really didn't smell good at this time, because his whole body was soaked by the stinky corpse water. The sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty's eyes became even colder. They were extremely livid, and murderous intent surged in his eyes. With a boom, divine power rushed out of his body, directly evaporating his wet clothes and forcing out all the corpse water in the corpse river. Then, he took a step forward and directly pressed down on Lin Tian. "There's no need to suppress. I'll kill you directly," he said coldly. As he took a step forward, his genuine immortal chi immediately spread out, as if it was going to burst the underground world. In the next moment, he reached out his big hand again and grabbed at Lin Tian. This time, it was different from before. Wisps of genuine immortal divine light were entwined around his palm. Clearly, it was no longer pure physical strength, but genuine immortal divine power this time. For a moment, many cultivators in the area couldn't help but tremble. In the face of this genuine immortal divine power, they all retreated, afraid that they would be accidentally affected by this genuine immortal divine power. If they were affected by this genuine immortal divine power, they would definitely end up miserable. "Sixth true ancestor, pay attention to the celestial stone on him. Don't break it. Also, take his genuine immortal weapon," reminded the fourth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty. "I know!" The sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty arrived. His big hand continued to press down, and the divine power on it became more terrifying than before. "Die!" He looked at Lin Tian, his eyes cold and merciless. Wherever his big hand passed, the void shattered inch by inch, and then collapsed inch by inch. The scene was a little frightening. "You want to kill me with this blow? You're dreaming." Lin Tian was very calm. Facing the big hand that pressed down on him, he could feel the terror of this big hand, but his expression didn't change at all. His right leg shook slightly on the surface of the ground, and endless dragon patterns spread out, causing the underground world to shake in an instant. Then, in the next moment, a black fog rushed out of the black hole of death not far away. The dense death chi quickly passed through and directly met the big hand of the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty. Immediately after, there was a sizzling sound as the divine power outside the giant hand of the Wanwei dynasty's sixth true ancestor was completely annihilated. Then, the pitch-black mist of death enveloped his entire body. This is... In an instant, the man's face changed color. He felt the terror of this death mist on the spot and quickly retreated. Unfortunately, although he retreated very quickly, he was still a little too late. In the next instant, the pitch-black mist of death wrapped around the arm he had stretched out. Puff! Blood splattered, and the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty let out a muffled groan. The arm that was covered by the death mist was instantly corroded into a bloody mist by the death mist. It was a shocking sight. Such a scene shocked everyone in this place, except for Lin Tian. What a terrifying death chi! It corroded a true immortal! Many people's hearts trembled. Then, some people looked in the direction that the death mist rushed out from and saw the black hole in the distance. For a moment, they couldn't help but tremble, and their faces turned pale. That black hole, that's why does it feel like hell? It's terrifying. Just now, the deathly mist rushed out from the black hole. Could it be that the black hole is filled with deathly mist? Everyone's heart palpitated. They just glanced at the black hole, and they felt that their divine souls were about to collapse. It was too scary. Then, these people looked at Lin Tian, and couldn't help but be shocked. He can control the death chi in the black hole? How did he do it? These people were shocked. Judging from the scene just now, it was clear that Lin Tian pulled out the terrifying death chi from the black hole on his own. Even the wishing crocodile and the little Taichu were shocked at this time. You can mobilize the death chi in there? The wishing crocodile was shocked. Have you forgotten that I know the dragon burial scripture? In some special places, it's easy to borrow some external forces. Lin Tian Andao. As soon as these words came out, the wishing crocodile suddenly understood, and there was a ray of light in its eyes. It's true. Lord Crocodile actually forgot about this. The dragon burial scripture could control the momentum of heaven and earth. In many special places, it could borrow the momentum of heaven and earth to fight. This place was extraordinary, and could be considered a kind of momentum of heaven and earth. After Lin Tian used the dragon burial scripture, he could indeed use the vast death chi in the black hole of death. No wonder you said that you didn't have enough faith power, and could only rely on the ascension elixir to block a genuine immortal, but your expression was so calm. It turns out that you have long thought of using the vast death chi in the black hole of death to fight. It clicked its tongue. Lin Tian's expression was calm, and he said with a faint smile, Didn't I say that it might be troublesome in other places, but in this place, I don't need to care about them at all. With the power of the dragon burial scripture to control the black hole of death in this place, he didn't need to worry at all even if 30 genuine immortals came, let alone 3. With the death chi in the black hole of death in this place, he wouldn't be afraid even if it was a peak genuine immortal. This was the terrifying part of the dragon burial scripture. In some special terrains, with the help of special terrains, even if it was 1 or 2 realms higher, it could still be done. I'll give you a warning. Leave here obediently, and I won't make things difficult for you now. If you still want to stay and try to kill me and my companions, then don't blame me for being ruthless and burying all of you in this place. He looked at the 3 genuine immortal experts of the Manwei dynasty and said. His voice was very calm, and it wasn't loud at all, but it made all the cultivators in this place change their expressions again. He actually said this to 3 genuine immortal experts? This is simply... Although Lin Tian had just sent the 6th true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty flying with a punch, and although Lin Tian had used the death chi to corrode the arm of the 6th true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty, these cultivators still didn't think that Lin Tian could really block a genuine immortal. After all, a genuine immortal was very terrifying and had many means, especially the immortal Dao Law. That was a very frightening power, and it wasn't something that an eternal realm cultivator could block. because an eternal realm cultivator had only mastered the great Tao. Chapter 15:15. Everyone was stunned when they heard Lin Tian's words. An eternal realm cultivator actually issued a warning to 3 true immortal experts. This was the first time they had ever encountered such a thing. The 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty looked cold. The 6th true ancestor, who had been blown away by Lin Tian's punch and had one of his arms corroded by Lin Tian's black hole, was so angry that he laughed. How dare an eternal realm ant speak so arrogantly? An eternal realm expert is an ant? Then your Manwei dynasty really has a lot of ants. Is your bloodline a place full of ants? Lin Tian said calmly. The 6th true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty suddenly stopped talking and his face turned a little pale. He had wanted to mock Lin Tian, but Lin Tian's words turned his words back to the Manwei dynasty. In the Manwei dynasty, except for the true ancestors and the Wanwei overlord, everyone else was at or below the eternal realm. Therefore, in terms of his eternal realm ant, the Manwei dynasty was really a place full of ants. You have a sharp tongue! The man's voice was bone-chilling. He took a step toward Lin Tian, divine energy rolling around his body. He directly used a true immortal's great divine ability. I'll kill you! Together, let's end this quickly. Another voice sounded. The 4th and 5th true ancestors of the Wanwei dynasty who had come to this place attacked together. They were 3 true immortal experts, so how could they retreat because of the threat of an eternal cultivator? Although Lin Tian's death force was shocking, they did not care. They had genuine immortal divine abilities and immortal Tao laws. Moreover, there were 3 genuine immortals working together. How could such a lineup be unable to defeat an eternal realm cultivator? Crush him! The 4th true ancestor of this bloodline said coldly. Like the 6th true ancestor, he showed no mercy and directly used a true immortal's divine ability. At the same time, this bloodline's 5th true ancestor condensed a beast phantom to suppress Lin Tian. This was also a true immortal secret technique. In the blink of an eye, 3 waves of true immortal divine power surged out, distorting the void and directly crushing the nearby spirits. Such a scene shocked many of the cultivators in the area. They all retreated, afraid that they would be affected by this immortal-level killing light. After all, this was the light of a true immortal-level divine ability. Ordinary cultivators would definitely not be able to withstand it. Boom! An intense rumble resounded through this space. The divine might of 3 true immortals pressed down on Lin Tian at the same time. It was truly frightening. It seems that you all are truly courting death. Lin Tian was very calm. He stood where he was. He had already set up a dragon burial formation underground with the dragon marks. It completely covered the space within a radius of 1,000 feet, and the center was the black hole of death not far away. At this moment, facing the pressure of the 3 true immortals, the dragon mark on the soles of his feet moved and immediately drew out the vast power of death from the black hole of death. It spread out from the great dragon burial formation that was arranged underground and then surged up mightily. In an instant, the pitch-black mist of death surged and directly covered this space. Its corrosive power was shockingly strong. Whoosh! 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 With a series of soft sounds, the true immortal divine ability of the 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty was immediately crushed. Moreover, the vast and mighty power of death that surged out did not disappear. It continued to press down on the 3 true immortals. This? The cultivators trembled in unison. They were all shocked by this death mist. The true immortal divine ability of the 3 true immortal powerhouses was crushed in an instant. How did he draw out such a terrifying death mist? Some cultivators looked at Lin Tian with shock in their eyes. The 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty were even more shocked. They had just used their true immortal divine abilities at the same time, and they were all very powerful true immortal divine abilities. But in an instant they were crushed by the death mist drawn out by Lin Tian. Most importantly, the death mist was still pressing down on them. They could clearly feel the horror of that death mist. They did not dare to be too careless in the face of this death mist. At the same time, they shook out an even stronger true immortal divine ability to crush this death mist. Don't think that just because you can borrow some evil power from the evil Tao, you can defeat a true immortal with your eternal realm cultivation. It's just a small trick. It's not worth mentioning, the fourth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty said coldly. As he spoke, divine light surged around his body. Wisps of immortal Tao aura spread out, and the law of immortal Tao gushed out. At the same time, the fifth true ancestor and the sixth true ancestor of this lineage also released their own law of immortal Tao. At this time, they saw how terrifying the death mist drawn out by Lin Tian was. It was very threatening. They wanted to end Lin Tian quickly, take back all the starstones, and the super tree of life here. Therefore, they began to release the law of immortal Tao directly. They wanted to kill Lin Tian in the shortest time possible. Immortal. Law of immortal Tao. One of the strongest techniques of a true immortal expert. He was forced to use the law of immortal Tao just like that. Is the mist of death so terrifying? An eternal realm cultivator can force a true immortal expert to release the law of immortal Tao after drawing out that death mist. How can it not be terrifying? It's absolutely terrifying. But since the three true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty have released the law of immortal Tao, that person is finished. Of course. The law of immortal Tao is not something that ordinary forces can compare to. Many people shook their heads. Looking at Lin Tian, they felt that Lin Tian really could not resist now. After all, the power of the law of immortal Tao was very dangerous and overbearing. Boom! Divine energy rolled and the law of immortal Tao surged. The space was constantly distorted by the tremors, as if it would collapse in the next moment. The three true immortals of the Manwei dynasty looked at Lin Tian and moved. The law of immortal Tao surged and pressed down on Lin Tian. Die. The sixth true ancestor said coldly. His killing intent toward Lin Tian was the strongest. In this moment, in just a flash, this person stepped in front of Lin Tian. The law of immortal Tao coiled around his large hand and turned into a millstone, pressing down on Lin Tian mightily. Lin Tian's expression did not change at all as he watched this person close in on him. Roar! A true dragon roared and the ground collapsed. A large black dragon rushed out and blocked in front of Lin Tian. It shattered the millstone of the law of immortal Tao that the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty pressed down on him. Then, it swung its tail and lashed out. This true dragon was completely condensed from the aura of death. It was fast and domineering. With a puff, half of the sixth true ancestor's body was pulverized. Moreover, after half of the person's body was pulverized, the terrifying power of death poured into his flesh and blood through the wound. It began to wildly corrode his muscles and bones, even his soul. Ah! This person could not help but scream. Sixth true ancestor. The fourth and fifth true ancestors of the lineage who were attacking Lin Tian turned pale and could not help but look at the sixth true ancestor. Worry about yourselves. Lin Tian's voice rang out. As soon as he finished speaking, the sonorous sound of swords rang out and the ground shook again. Accompanied by dense dragon patterns, streaks of black sword energy rushed out from the ground and shattered the space. They turned into a rain of swords and pressed down on the fourth and fifth true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty. Those sword rays were condensed from extremely vast amounts of death energy that he had gathered with the dragon burial scripture. Every single sword ray could be considered a true sword of death. At this moment, when they charged out together, their power could be said to be extremely astonishing and incomparably terrifying. For a moment, the law of immortal Tao that the fourth and fifth true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty had summoned were directly crushed. Then, the dense black sword energy continued to pass through their bodies and smash them into pieces. In just a short moment, the three true immortals were all injured. At this place, the expression of all the cultivators changed. They originally thought that after the three true immortals of the Manwei dynasty had summoned the law of immortal Tao, even if Lin Tian could draw upon the vast power of death in this place to fight, he would definitely not be able to block it because the law of immortal Tao was extremely terrifying. However, to their surprise, the power of death that Lin Tian had drawn out was even more terrifying than before. It had corroded the law of immortal Tao that the three true immortals of the Manwei dynasty had summoned and instantly shattered the three of them. So terrifying! The power of death that he has summoned, could it be that he can kill immortals? An older cultivator said in a trembling voice and could not help but tremble. Even the wishing crocodile and little Taichu next to the super tree of life were shocked. Although they had known that the power of death nurtured under the black hole of death was shockingly vast and terrifying, they still could not help but look surprised at how easily Lin Tian had destroyed the three true immortals. How terrifying! The wishing crocodile widened its eyes. Boom! 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 Divine energy vibrated as the three true immortals of the Manwei dynasty reformed their bodies. They looked at Lin Tian again with flickering eyes. At this moment, they truly understood the power of death that Lin Tian could draw out. It was so vast and powerful that even the law of immortal Tao could not block it. Let's go! The fourth true progenitor of this branch said grimly. The fifth and sixth true progenitors nodded. Although their faces were ashen, they could see that the power of death that Lin Tian had drawn out was far more terrifying than they had expected. Even their law of immortal Tao could not block it. As such, they had no choice but to retreat. If they continued to stay and fight with Lin Tian, who could draw out the vast power of death from this place, the battle would be very disadvantageous for them, and could even endanger their lives. We'll let you live for a while longer. If we miss today and today, we'll definitely make you wish you were dead, the sixth true progenitor of this branch said coldly. Chapter 15-16. Sensing that the current situation was very unfavorable to them, the three true immortals and true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty were very decisive. They made a prompt decision and began to retreat into the underground world without any hesitation. Such a scene naturally shocked all the cultivators in this place. The three true immortals and true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty retreated? Three true immortals were all scared away by an eternal realm cultivator? All the cultivators were extremely surprised. In the face of an eternal realm cultivator, the three true immortals chose to retreat. These people's voices were very low, but the three true immortals of the Manwei dynasty were so powerful that they naturally heard it. Their faces immediately turned ugly, and a sense of humiliation rose in them. Even so, they did not stay. Their footsteps did not change at all, and they retreated along the path they came from. However, in the next moment, the deathly mist in all directions surged. Dense dragon patterns led the boundless, deathly aura to rush out from the ground. It was extremely terrifying, directly cutting off the three people's path of retreat. I told you to leave at first, but you didn't. Now you want to leave? It's too late. Lin Tian now. The death chi rolled and was shockingly strong. The temperature of this underground world dropped by dozens of degrees in an instant. The three true immortals of the Manwei dynasty's face darkened when their retreat was cut off. You want to trap us? Trap you? You think too much, Lin Tian now said. I want you to die here. The true immortal of the Manwei dynasty's face turned cold. The sixth true ancestor said coldly, Don't be so arrogant, boom! Tyrannical divine power vibrated, and the death chi rolled and surged violently, directly interrupting the sixth true immortal. Lin Tian now moved. He took a step forward, and the dragon patterns on the soles of his feet spread. In an instant, more death mist was summoned from the ground. He formed a dragon seal with both hands at the same time, and 3 death dragons of about 1,000 feet long appeared, attacking the 3 true immortals together. Suddenly, the space trembled. The aura of the 3 death dragons was terrifying. Everywhere they passed, the air was corroded. The 3 genuine immortals of the Manwei dynasty were all shocked. At this time, the aura of death from the 3 dragons was undoubtedly more terrifying than the aura of death that Lin Tian had just drawn out. The fluctuations made their hearts tremble. Without any hesitation, the three of them unleashed their immortal Tao laws at the same time to meet the three death dragons head-on. Then, they used mysterious footwork to move in three different directions, dodging the attacks of the three death dragons by a hair's breadth. Shwa! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out. Lin Tian's figure appeared directly in front of the sixth true ancestor. The sixth true ancestor's expression shifted as he was startled by Lin Tian's sudden appearance. You clang! An ear-piercing sword hum reverberated. Lin Tian raised his hand, and densely packed dragon tattoos intertwined in his right hand. He drew out an even more vast aura of death from the black hole of death at the heart of the great dragon burial formation, directly condensing it into a sword of death. He mercilessly swung it down at this person. The sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty had no time to dodge or defend. He was directly smashed into pieces by the sword. The blood of a genuine immortal spilled in the air. It was a ghastly sight. Damn it! The sixth true ancestor roared. His divine soul was not destroyed. He wrapped his broken flesh and retreated, trying to reassemble his physical body in the distance. There's no need to retreat. Lin Tian did not give this person a chance to retreat. With him as the center, dense black dragon swords rushed out from the ground. Each of them was formed by a vast aura of death and complex dragon tattoos. They were terrifyingly powerful and completely sealed the sixth true ancestor's divine soul. Pft! 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 In the blink of an eye, the sixth true ancestor's divine soul was directly pierced through by the dense black dragon swords. He screamed again. Disappear! Lin Tian's voice rang out once more. The great sword of death in his hand had yet to disappear. He had infused a strand of his own nameless Tao Law into it, and he slashed down at this person's already shattered soul once more. With a puff, the sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty screamed in despair, fear, and unwillingness. His broken divine soul was shattered by the sword of death and completely disappeared from the world. Suddenly, everyone in this place turned pale. The sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty he died, just like that. Everyone was shocked. The sixth true ancestor of the Manwei dynasty was a powerful existence who was about to reach the mid-stage of the genuine immortal realm. He was almost invincible in the starry sky, but now, in this place, he was killed. Moreover, he was killed by an eternal realm cultivator. Someone looked at Lin Tian and could not help but feel a chill down his spine. It was too terrifying. He killed an immortal with the cultivation of the eternal realm. At the same time, next to the super tree of life, Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu could not help but be shocked. He killed a true immortal so quickly. The death aura under that black hole is really scary. Wishing Crocodile clicked his tongue. He knew very well that Lin Tian had been able to slay the sixth true progenitor of the Wanwei dynasty so easily and quickly because the presence of death beneath the black hole was too vast and too terrifying. Even a peak true immortal wouldn't be able to withstand it. After all, it was the death aura condensed by at least 1 million cultivators after they died. It was very terrifying. On the other side, the other two true immortals of the Manwei dynasty looked a little ugly. They were both shocked and angry. Damn it! How dare you kill him! The fourth true ancestor roared at Lin Tian. Not long ago, his Manwei dynasty had just lost 3 true immortals, which was a heavy loss. Now, he had lost another true immortal in this place. This made him very angry. What a joke! The 3 of you want to kill me, and I don't dare to kill you! Is there something wrong with your head? Lin Tian looked at the man's mockery and paused. He seemed to think of something and said, Speaking of which, not long ago, your dynasty lost 9 elders of the eternal realm and 3 true ancestors of the true immortal realm, right? What? The Manwei dynasty lost 9 elders of the eternal realm? And 3 true ancestors of the true immortal realm? I've never heard of such a thing. The cultivators were shocked. No one had heard or seen the death of 9 elders of the eternal realm and 3 true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty. Even the fourth true ancestor and the fifth true ancestor of the Manwë dynasty were shocked. How did you know? They knew about the death of the 9 elders of the Eternal Realm and the 3 true ancestors of the true Immortal Realm through the shattering of the soul lamps of life in the dynasty. Only some big shots in the dynasty knew about it. How could Lin Tianyi, an outsider, know about it? How would I know? Lin Tian looked at the two and smiled faintly. Because I killed them all. As soon as these words were spoken, the cultivators in this place were all shocked, and each of them revealed an expression of horror. After killing Yan Zhongwang of the Manwë dynasty, Lin Tian had killed 9 elders of the Eternal Realm and 3 true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty? This was not the first time that Lin Tian had killed a true immortal with his Eternal Realm cultivation. Before this, he had already killed 3 true immortal experts. You did it? The 4th true ancestor and the 5th true ancestor of the Manwë dynasty could not help but tremble. Their expressions became even more furious. Not long ago, the Manwë dynasty lost 9 elders of the Eternal Realm and 3 true ancestors of the true Immortal Realm in one day. Was it Lin Tian who did this? It was me! Lin Tian looked at the two with a faint smile on his face. His voice was calm. What do you think? Are you surprised? Such an expression and such words made the 4th and 5th true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty so angry that they almost exploded. Damn you! How dare you! The two of them roared. At this moment, they did not doubt Lin Tian's words at all. For one thing, the deaths of the 9 elders of the Eternal Realm and 3 true immortals of the Manwë dynasty were only known to the higher-ups of their bloodline. But Lin Tian, an outsider, knew about it, which was obviously not normal. For another thing, they did not doubt that Lin Tian could kill the 3 true immortals with his Eternal Realm cultivation. If Lin Tian could kill the 6th true ancestor of their bloodline in this place, then it was not impossible that he could have killed the 3 true immortals in other places with special means. Ah! The two of them roared, glaring at Lin Tian with angry eyes. Both of them displayed violent means and rushed toward Lin Tian. For a moment, the true immortal secret skills and immortal Tao laws rumbled at the same time. The killing power was terrifying to the extreme. In the blink of an eye, the two of them rushed to Lin Tian. Because of their extreme anger, they forgot that Lin Tian could summon a very terrifying aura of death in this place, and was not afraid of their divine skills and immortal Tao. Lin Tian looked at the two of them and smiled slightly. He made a dragon seal with his left hand. Dragon roar, 10,000 dragons kill. He smiled faintly. As the words left his mouth, the ground began to tremble. No less than 10,000 dragons rushed out from the ground, each of them at least 100 zhan long. Each of them exuded an extremely dense aura of death. It was truly the might of 10,000 dragons surging forward. In an instant, the divine skills and immortal Tao of the 4th and 5th true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty were all crushed. Then, the 10,000 dragons rushed over with terrifying momentum and smashed the two of them into pieces. 2 plumes of blood sprayed in the void. Such a scene caused all the cultivators in the area to tremble in fear. Even the wishing crocodile and little Taichu next to the super tree of life could not help but tremble at this scene. The dragon burial scripture is really terrifying. The wishing crocodile trembled. At this time, it and little Taichu temporarily stopped comprehending and cultivating and watched Lin Tian fight seriously. Damn it! Damn it! Chapter 15-17. After all, the 4th and 5th true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty were both true immortals, and they were more powerful than the 6th true ancestor. They would not die so easily. Their divine souls wrapped around their broken flesh and blood, and in the blink of an eye, they reformed their physical bodies. They stared at Lin Tian. At this time, they were extremely shocked and angry, and at the same time, a sense of fear rose in them. The death aura that Lin Tian had drawn from this place was too terrifying. As true immortals, they were completely powerless against it. Lin Tian looked at the two and did not say anything. He simply stepped forward. Under his feet, the death aura gathered into a black dragon. He stepped on the dragon's head and pressed on toward the two. The fourth and fifth true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty growled, and each took out a precious weapon. They were a bronze cauldron and a seal respectively. Both were true immortal weapons, exuding a strong true immortal aura. Together with the law of immortality, they launched a fierce attack. However, the attack was not aimed at Lin Tian. Instead, it struck the barrier condensed from the aura of death that sealed off their path of retreat. For a moment, there was a rumbling sound. Two powerful divine powers surged toward the death aura that sealed them outside. The attack power was very fierce. However, it was useless. Because this death aura was condensed by Lin Tian using the dragon burial formation and the massive amount of death aura in this place's black hole. Even a peaked true immortal could not break it. Clang! The ear-piercing sound of the sword reverberated. Lin Tian condensed a huge sword of death with a massive amount of death aura and slashed toward the fourth and fifth true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty. The sharp sword light directly cut a large part of the void in this place. The fourth and fifth true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty stopped attacking the death aura in this place. Their divine power surged and met Lin Tian's sharp sword light head-on, blocking it. However, at this time, a dragon's roar rang out. Lin Tian stepped on the black death dragon and approached. The dragon's head was frighteningly huge, and it directly crashed into the two. Puff! Pooh! The fourth and fifth true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty were smashed into pieces by the dragon of death. Their respective true immortal weapons were sent flying and landed on the ground in the distance, creating two huge craters. Ah! The two of them roared as their soul force surged and reformed their bodies. Don't waste your energy. Just die here. Lin Tian's voice was calm. Dense dragon patterns wrapped around his body, and he directly activated the dragon burial formation engraved in this place. Roar! With another roar, the ground glowed, and a vast aura of death roiled. One dragon after another rushed out of the ground, just like the 10,000 dragons kill, but this time, it was many times stronger. It directly enveloped the fourth true ancestor and the sixth true ancestor of the Wanwei dynasty. The souls of the two true immortals from the Wanwei dynasty trembled as they sensed the terror of this attack. They roared in terror and unleashed a shocking amount of soul energy and even more powerful laws of immortal Tao from their soul bodies in an attempt to break through the dense mass of dragons. Unfortunately, it was useless. At this time, the dragon burial formation activated by Lin Tian used the vast death aura in this place as the source of power. Its killing power was so strong that even a golden immortal might not be able to resist it, let alone the two true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty, who were in the early stage of the true immortal realm and had their bodies shattered and were seriously injured. Die! Lin Tian's voice was calm. The dragon burial formation was completely boiling, and the tens of thousands of dragons let out a deafening roar. Ah! A miserable shriek rang out, and in the next moment, it disappeared completely. Under the complete explosion of the dragon burial array, the fifth true ancestor of the Wanwei Empire was the first to be crushed, his body and soul destroyed. The fourth true ancestor of this lineage trembled and struggled in the dragon burial formation, but he could not resist the killing power of the dragon burial formation. His soul body was constantly being shattered. Damn it! Damn it! You won't have it easy! You'll die! At this moment, the fifth true ancestor of the Manwë dynasty knew that he was going to die. His expression became ferocious, and he roared fiercely. Part of his soul body was burned, and he used some kind of special technique to forcibly shoot out a beam of divine light. He shot out of the dragon burial formation and disappeared from this underground space in an instant. Then, his soul body became countless times fainter. Son of a bitch! You won't live for long! You'll die soon! The Manwë dynasty is not something you can provoke! The fifth true ancestor roared savagely, and then in the next moment, he screamed again. His weak soul body was crushed by the terrifying dragon burial formation and shattered, his body and soul destroyed. Seeing this, the other cultivators in the area trembled for a moment. Dead, they're all dead! These people trembled, and some even took a step back involuntarily. The fourth, fifth, and sixth true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty had come together to kill. Each of them was a powerful true immortal, and almost no one in the universe could stand up to them. But now, they had all been killed in this place. Killed by an eternal realm cultivator. These people looked at Lin Tian, and could not help but tremble. They felt a chill rising in their organs. This person was simply too terrifying, too ferocious. In the distance, Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu were also surprised. Very erotic and violent! Wishing Crocodile clicked its tongue. However, compared to the other cultivators in the area, it and Little Tai Chu were surprised that Lin Tian had killed the fourth, fifth, and sixth true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty so quickly. At the same time, they also remembered the divine light that the fourth true ancestor of the Manwë dynasty had shot out before he died. It frowned slightly. In front of them, Lin Tian calmed the dragon burial formation and looked in the direction of the divine light that the fourth true ancestor of the Manwë dynasty had sent out when he burned a wisp of his soul body. A faint light flashed in his eyes. However, this did not last long. The next moment, he withdrew his gaze and looked in another direction. There were two treasure weapons on the ground. They were the true immortal weapons of the Wanwei dynasty's fourth true ancestor and fifth true ancestor. He waved his hand and grabbed the weapons, erased the two true immortal weapons' spiritual imprints, and put them into his body. The true immortal weapons of the two sects were still very valuable. Then, he stepped forward and walked back to the super tree of life. By the way, kid, what was the divine light that the fourth true ancestor of the Manwë dynasty shot out just now? Wishing Crocodile asked, a little concerned. I guess he was telling something about me to a stronger person in this lineage at the last moment before he died. Lin Tian now. This was not difficult to guess, and he did not care too much about it. He looked at Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu and said, You and the little guy continue to cultivate. I will protect you. Protect us? Wishing Crocodile was a little curious. You don't want to cultivate with us? At this time, it could sense that Lin Tian now was still at the eternal peak. He did not gain anything in this place. Now that he had killed the fourth, fifth, and sixth true ancestors of the Manwë dynasty, he should be cultivating with them. However, Lin Tian now asked them to protect him. Obviously, he would not cultivate in this place, which made it a little curious. Are you worried that the cultivators outside will suddenly snatch the tree of life and interfere with our cultivation? It looked at the cultivators outside and said, It won't be that bad. With your current cultivation, you have engraved more than a dozen killing formations outside. Not many people below the true immortal realm can break through. You don't need to worry about this. That's not the problem. Lin Tian now shook his head and said, Don't worry about me. You and the little guy cultivate first. I'll protect you. When you finish cultivating, I'll tell you more. Now, it would be meaningless for him to continue cultivating in this place. Because the nameless Tao in his body rejected the immortal Tao from entering his body, he could not condense immortal core power. He had to think about how to successfully condense immortal core power in his body. Otherwise, it would be difficult for his cultivation to improve in the future. Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu both looked at him suspiciously. They were even more curious about his words. However, they also knew that Lin Tian now had his own considerations and ideas, so they did not ask much for the time being. Then the little guy and I will cultivate first. You can tell us in detail later, Wishing Crocodile said. At this moment, it and Little Tai Chu each operated their ancient scriptures and continued to use the power of the super tree of life in this place to comprehend the immortal Tao that existed between heaven and earth. For a moment, the super tree of life swayed and scattered an extremely vigorous aura of life towards the two. Then, one could vaguely feel that the Tao outside their bodies had become rich and vigorous in an instant. Lin Tian now looked at Wishing Crocodile and Little Tai Chu cultivating. He sat down silently beside the tree of life and looked at the surrounding cultivators. Facing Lin Tian now's gaze, these cultivators could not help but tremble. Many of them could not help but take a step back. They really felt that Lin Tiandao was a bit terrifying. Just now, he had killed 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty by himself. That kind of power was right in front of them, and these ordinary cultivators were all afraid. Seeing these cultivators' reactions, Lin Tiandao naturally knew that they were afraid of him, but he did not care. While guarding Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu, he silently thought about how he should cultivate next. In the central region of the Myriad Domains Imperial Planet, in the 100,000 Immortal Mountains, where the Manwei dynasty was established. At this moment, with a whoosh, a divine light rushed over from the distance and disappeared into the depths of this vein in the blink of an eye. Then, in the next moment, 3 terrifying divine energies directly came from the depths of the Manwei dynasty, mixed with terrifying killing intent, true immortal aura, and immortal Tao laws. Damn it! You must die! No matter what special methods you have, you will die without a burial place! A roar resounded through the sky. Soul Death Valley, Underground World. Lin Tiandao stood guard beside the Super Tree of Life, guarding Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu. At the same time, he quietly thought about how he should condense his immortal core power. Just like this, a full 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. Boom! Boom! Chapter 15-18. The aura of a genuine immortal and the law of immortal Tao intertwined. Although it was very weak, the power it contained was very shocking. Beside the Super Tree of Life, the divine light outside Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu's bodies skyrocketed. Their essence, chi, and spirit were much stronger than 7 days ago. Half-step genuine immortal. Lin Tian looked at the two, and a glimmer of light flashed across his eyes. After 7 days, with the help of the power of the Super Tree of Life, Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu had both stepped into the half-step genuine immortal realm from the Eternal Peak. At the same time, in this underground world, the group of cultivators was still surrounding this place, looking at Lin Tianyi and the others. At this time, they naturally noticed that Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu had reached the half-step genuine immortal realm. Their eyes could not help but flicker. After all, half-step genuine immortals were absolute giants in the starry sky. Few people could resist them. Awesome! Beside the Super Tree of Life, Wishing Crocodile let out a howl of excitement as usual. Outside his body, Tao light surged, mixed with strands of immortal Tao fluctuation. Moreover, it was the fluctuation of the 5 elements immortal Tao. Among the many immortal Tao laws, it was one of the most advanced immortal Taos. Its immortal Tao power was extraordinary. On the other side, Little Taichu's body was also surrounded by faint Tao light, mixed with the immortal Tao aura. It was the radiant immortal Tao. This immortal Tao was much more powerful than the 5 elements immortal Tao. It could transform all the laws in the world. It was a sacred immortal Tao. Whether it was in attack or defense, it had amazing abilities. Not bad. Lin Tian looked at Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu and nodded with a smile. He could clearly feel that compared to 7 days ago, the two had improved qualitatively in every aspect. Whoosh! The Tree of Life swayed. At this time, it had dimmed a little, but its life aura was still amazing. What a great treasure! Wishing Crocodile clicked its tongue. In 7 days, it and the Little Taichu had relied on the Tree of Life to cultivate. They had successfully condensed a strand of celestial core power and stepped into the half-step true immortal realm. However, they had not used up too much of the Tree of Life's power. Its life force was still boundless. Lin Tian nodded. The value of this Tree of Life was indeed astonishing. Even for a true immortal, it was a precious treasure. Kid, now it's your turn to cultivate and comprehend the Tao. The little guy and I will protect you. Wishing Crocodile versus Lin Tian now. No. Lin Tian shook his head. There's a problem with my cultivation for the time being. If I cultivate now, it won't be effective. Hearing his words, Wishing Crocodile suddenly looked suspicious. Something wrong with his cultivation? What is it? It asked, its expression becoming more solemn. Beside him, little Taishu also looked at Lin Tian. Lin Tian glanced at the group of cultivators who were still watching the Tree of Life from the periphery and said, "I'll talk to you somewhere else." As he spoke, he propped up his origin small world. The spiritual light inside was dense, and it directly sucked the super Tree of Life in this place into it. At this time, this super Tree of Life still had a very shocking divine power of life. It was still very useful to them, so naturally, they had to take it away. Roar! The fierce roar was ear-piercing. In this underground world, the Densine soldiers were not all destroyed. They had been guarding outside the super Tree of Life. At this time, when they saw Lin Tian put away the super Tree of Life, they felt that the rich life force that was both tempting and dangerous to them had disappeared. Immediately, they all rushed toward Lin Tian crazily with ferocious expressions. Lin Tian raised his hand, and a sword ray flew out, directly slashing a large number of Yin soldiers into pieces. Although many of these Yin soldiers were comparable to Emperor Realm evil spirits, they were very weak in front of him. "Let's go." He did not care about the other cultivators here. He called out to Wishing Crocodile and Little Taichu and rose up into the sky above. Not long after, they rose to an extremely high place. Above their heads, a new layer of soil appeared. Clang! Lin Tian made his move. His sword hummed as it swung upward. This sword ray was very sharp. As it rushed upward, it shattered the layer of soil that was hundreds of feet thick. Then, a faint light sprinkled down from above, directly connecting the underground world and the Ghost Death Valley at the top. Then, he, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu continued to go up. Through this hole, they directly stepped out of the underground world. In the underground world, a group of cultivators looked in the direction that Lin Tian and the others left. Many of them looked up for a long time. Gone, gone. They took that super Tree of Life with them. Some people whispered with pity and regret. In fact, that super Tree of Life was too extraordinary. It was called the Immortal Tree of Life and the Tao Tree of Life. Ordinary cultivators, even if they only got a branch, it would be very useful. But now, it was taken away by Lin Tian. They could not get anything, and they did not dare to fight for it. After all, Lin Tian was not an ordinary cultivator. He had even killed several true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty. Who would dare to fight with such a fierce person for treasures? It was purely suicidal. Including what he said himself, he killed 3 true immortals of the Manwei dynasty before. In addition, he killed the 4th, 5th, and 6th true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty in this place. He alone killed 6 true ancestors of the Manwei dynasty. In addition, he killed Yin Zongwang and the 9 elders of the Eternal Realm. More than half of the upper class of the Manwei dynasty were killed by him. It's hard to imagine that he could kill true immortals with the cultivation of the Eternal Realm. What a terrifying man! The Manwei dynasty dominated the starry sky. But this time, they encountered a jinx. 6 true immortals and true ancestors, 1 half-step true immortal, and 9 Eternal Realm experts were killed by the same person in such a short time. It's really bad luck. Isn't it? However, I reckon that the Wanwei dynasty will be thoroughly enraged this time. It is said that the founder of this lineage is still alive, existing in the legendary immortal domain, and is still connected to this lineage. It seems that this lineage can summon part of the founder's power from the immortal domain with a special method, and ordinary golden immortals can't resist it. Is that true? I'm not sure. I just heard that. But I think it's 90% likely to be true. Many cultivators were shocked. Suddenly, an ear-piercing roar resounded through the underground space. At this time, there were still many nether spirits in this underground space. Seeing that Lin Tian had taken away the Tree of Life and Lin Tian had left, these nether spirits became even more ferocious. They stared at the cultivators in this underground space and madly and ferociously pounced on them. The surging nether chi was appalling. The cultivators trembled in shock. Then they each attacked. Divine light surged and slashed at the dense nether spirits. Lin Tian, Wishing Crocodile, and Little Taichu left the underground world. At this time, they were walking in the Ghost Death Valley. They were getting closer and closer to the center of the Ghost Death Valley. Boy, you can tell us now. What is the problem with your cultivation that you mentioned before? Whooshing Crocodile looked at Lin Tian and asked. Little Taichu also looked at Lin Tian. The nameless Tao law in my body rejects the immortal Tao. Lin Tian briefly explained that the nameless Tao law in his body rejected the immortal Tao and could not condense celestial essence. Whooshing Crocodile's eyes widened when it heard this. Even the immortal Tao rejects it? What kind of Tao is that? It's too overbearing. It was shocked. Previously, Lin Tian could not refine the Kanate Tao source that could temper Tao laws. After entering the Nirvana realm, he could not control more great Taos like other Nirvana realm cultivators because the nameless Tao law in his body rejected it. It was as if the Kanate Tao source and ordinary great Taos were impurities. Now, it did not expect that the nameless Tao law would reject even the immortal Tao. The Tao in your body thinks that the immortal Tao is impurities? That's ridiculous. Could it be the eternal divine Tao that is above the divine Tao? It stared at Lin Tian. But that can't be. Legend has it that there are 3 types of eternal divine Tao: time, space, life, and death. No matter how I look at it, the Tao in your body has nothing to do with these 3 types of power. The great Tao could only be truly controlled by cultivators when they entered the great virtue realm. The immortal Tao could only be truly controlled by cultivators when they entered the perfected immortal realm. The divine Tao could only be truly controlled by cultivators when they entered the true immortal realm. As for the more powerful eternal divine Tao, it had nothing to do with one's cultivation level. It could only be comprehended by truly exceptional talent and a peerless bloodline. To put it simply, the great Tao could only be truly controlled by cultivators when they entered the great virtue realm. The immortal Tao could only be truly controlled by cultivators when they entered the perfected immortal realm. The divine Tao could only be truly controlled by cultivators when they entered the true immortal realm. As for the eternal divine Tao that was above the divine Tao, it was different from the great Tao, the immortal Tao, and the divine Tao. Such a Tao was not limited by one's cultivation level. As long as one had sufficient talent and a strong enough bloodline, one could comprehend and control the eternal divine Tao at any time. Whooshing Crocodile did not doubt Lin Tian's talent at all. Lin Tian's talent was absolutely astonishing, and it would not doubt the power of Lin Tian's bloodline either. After all, he had the most powerful reincarnation imperial physique, and the power of his bloodline was definitely top-notch. If it was Lin Tian, it was definitely possible for him to control the eternal divine Tao. However, the 3 eternal divine Taos, whether it was time, space, or life and death, their characteristics were too obvious. As long as they were displayed, they would definitely be discovered at the first moment. However, Lin Tian's nameless Tao law was a blur. Apart from its boundless vastness, it could not sense anything else. Therefore, it could be 100% sure that Lin Tian's Tao was definitely not the eternal divine Tao. In this way, what kind of Tao was Lin Tian's Tao that it could not figure out the source of? How could it be so domineering that it even rejected the immortal Tao and was subconsciously regarded as an impurity? Although this Tao of yours is powerful, it's simply troublesome. It was shocked and speechless. Now, the nameless Tao law rejected the immortal Tao. Lin Tian could not condense celestial core power in his body. If he could not condense celestial core power, he could not brand the origin Tao seal of the immortal Tao in his body. This meant that he could not enter the perfected immortal realm, or even enter the half-step perfected immortal realm. This was indeed a huge problem. Extremely troublesome. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.